You ready, Ryan?
You ready?
You ready?
Okay. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Invincible podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends sit around and talk all things Invincible, a comic book and animated series by Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Ottley. I am one of your hosts, Ryan. Joining me is Bill.
Hi, everybody.
And Invincibabble, aka TJ.
Oh, hello, it's TJ. We did it!
We did it, we're here.
Did it.
We did it, we're here.
Oh my god, it is Thursday night. Everybody is, well, a lot of people are watching Invincible right now. We came in here to record our intro for this episode and outro.
And it was, if you're watching us on video, the fact that we're all wearing black Invincible hoodies was completely unplanned, but totally necessary.
Of course, very necessary.
Exactly right.
So if you stumbled onto this video or this podcast because you heard about the Invincible show and you want more exciting Invincible coverage, we're the place for you. We've got a ton of episodes out already. This is episode 95, as you can see, and this is a huge one. This is easily our longest episode ever because it is going to be a deep dive and, our thoughts into the 3 episodes that are already out for the Invincible animated series. But we've got tons of other episodes out there as well. So if you're just getting into the comic or you want to, talk to somebody about the tie-ins or anything like that, go check them out. What was that, TJ?
I was going to say, this should be our longest episode ever. I mean,
Absolutely.
this is what we've been waiting for this. Everybody listening to this podcast has been waiting for this for years.
Yeah. Yep.
And we got it.
We're here.
We're here.
It actually happened. So we've got a handful of news items because where these news items would have been an entire episode a year ago, now we just have to blow right through them because, like I said, longest episode ever. Right off the top, though, we've been staring at this box for a week, a little over a week now.
I'd say about a week, yeah.
It's driving Bill crazy.
I'm the most impulsive
and me.
fucking person in the world. Like,
Yes.
I was contemplating cutting the bottom open and looking at it and then like retaping it so you guys wouldn't know.
So
I don't
we
have
wouldn't know?
my Invincible mug, yeah, but we're ready.
Again, Invincible mug because coffee at 10:30 because I'm going to edit this episode tonight. Probably watch Invincible some more. Let's do this. So,
Ryan, what's
yeah.
this box that you're talking about? What's this box?
just a little something from Sean Kirkham, Big Clutch over from Skybound. Sent us a
sent us a box, and he specifically wanted us to open it on this episode.
Yeah.
And he sent it to us a week ago.
Watch your
so
addresses.
It's literally just.
Watch your address, Bill.
I want everyone to know where I live
yeah.
so we can come over and we can talk Invincible and hang out. Are we opening it right now? Like, are you guys?
Yes,
we're opening it.
I'm cutting it open.
All right,
I'm cutting it open.
cutting.
Don't spoil it for me though. If like you guys open it first, like let's wait until we.
No, we
open
gotta
it
do
up.
it together. We gotta do it together.
We'll have our reactions and then we'll open it up.
So,
oh wow,
Sean,
Oh, this is really fucking.
VP over at Skybound, was on the podcast 2 months ago, episode 93. Go listen to it. We had a great chat with him. And if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, on Friday, there is a Comics Vault Live happening. Oh, shoot!
Don't open it. Wait. You
don't.
not-
Come
I'm
on,
not.
Ryan.
I'm not
You already
spoiling it.
opened it?
I'm not spoiling it.
All right,
Oh my
I'm
God.
opening it, but I'm not. I'm gonna have my own reaction, and then. Holy shit!
Oh, all right. You guys got the top?
No, I'm not even close.
TJ, how are you not even close?
Yo, Sean Kirkham fucking used a whole roll of tape on this bitch.
Oh my god!
oh my
Fucking
God.
awesome!
All right, sorry for the audio listeners. We're working our way through the box right now.
Oh shit! Wow, what a perfect thing to put on
All
top
right,
there.
right on top we have the Big Clutch yesterday's pin. Love it. These should be up on Comics Vault Live this Friday, but if you're hearing this, it might already be over. If not, make sure to check it out, and I'm sure they'll be back. And yes, we got some Invincible red foils.
Yo, Sean,
Holy
thank you so
shit.
much. This is
Red
amazing.
foil?
But not only that, but the blue and yellow
blue foil.
These were just revealed. He just showed these off like yesterday.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
John, thank you so much, man.
Sweet.
This is amazing. Oh,
wow.
Is this not like the best March of your lives, guys? Like we've been doing this for so long.
Unreal.
And
it's been the
build up
craziest.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
What? You got it?
I think I'm done with all the crazy audio now.
Yeah, sorry audio listeners, but we're all done.
Honestly, it's too fucking much. I can't handle all the cool shit that has happened, and now this is fucking amazing. Like, Sean Kirkham, thank you so much.
Yes.
This is amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and everyone at Skybound. Wow.
Check out Comics Vault Live. Wow. That's amazing, man. All right, we got a couple news items. I want to go right into. We might as well talk about it. They're also releasing new merch every Friday. So if you're hearing this on the day it goes out again, or on a new Friday with a new episode, they're doing new merch every single Friday. We got a tease of what this Friday's is going to be, and it's 3 different T-shirts. One blood splatter logo. TJ, are you putting the pin on right now?
I am putting the pin on.
We got a blood splatter logo, a quote from Omni-Man, and a black Burger Mart shirt. I am absolutely
very cool.
I'm absolutely getting the Burger Mart shirt.
Yeah,
the Burger Mart shirt is sick. I really like the blue blood splatter too.
I like the color on the blue blood splatter one, but like I said, man, I'm concerned it's gonna look like blood splatter, like it actually looks
like
messy.
Actual blood splatter.
Yeah.
So something cool just happened. Yesterday, 2 days ago was my birthday, and my parents came over tonight so we could have dinner and do dessert and stuff like that. And I'm like, guys, 8:00, Invincible just launched. I'm like, can you please just sit down and watch this with me? So my mom, my dad, my son, my 10-year-old son, and my wife Liz, we all sat down and watched the first episode. They loved it. They laughed at all the right parts. Then I was like, you guys want to watch the second episode? And these are my parents, right? And I'm not young, so you can guess, like, you know, they're not used to staying up super, super late. And we dove right into the second episode. And then third episode, and they're like, no, did we just break up or are we good?
We're good. We're still recording.
We're still recording? Okay.
Yeah, might have been a little glitch there.
Yeah. So they're like, no, we'll watch it tomorrow. Like, my dad was asking questions like, oh my gosh, who's this and what's that about? And I'm like, you got to see. And he was like, I knew this was going to happen because of the way that he acted. I'm like, that's great, Dad. That's great. Go with it. Run with it. So they're like, we'll watch it tomorrow because it's super late. It's almost 11 o'clock right now. My dad just texted me and he said, getting ready to watch episode 3 right now.
No way.
Yeah.
They went home and decided to keep watching.
They went home and probably like are sitting on it and like, okay, let's just watch the third episode.
Dude, that's great.
Which after watching it for the millionth time, I think I might like the third episode the most.
Can I say, I mean, yes, we were super, super lucky to have gotten a chance to get the early screeners, but I'm so, like, the quality of the finished, like, streaming it looks really sharp. Like, it looks really good. I'm really happy with that. It did,
yeah. On my Ultra HD TV, like, I was like, oh, damn, this looks tight.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like Ryan said, we did watch this a month in advance. We did record, our episode reviews that you're about to see in advance, but separately. So episode 1 we reviewed one day, and then the next week we did another one. This episode 2. The next week we did episode 3. That's why we're all wearing different shit, and
we might move around a little bit. Like it's all gonna be.
And our opinions change.
I don't know about our opinions.
They might from the beginning of watching episode 1 to 3. Oh my God, Koba just moved my whole camera. I'm sorry, guys.
It's all good.
He's such a jerk.
Moving off of your parents liking the show, I know it's early. It's Thursday night. It's sitting at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. At 30, you said 35 reviews?
Well, so it's 34 critic reviews and 1 user review, and it's still at 100%.
I didn't know user reviews were opened up, so I guess so.
Yeah, not a bad start.
Oh my gosh, dude. Dude, that's not a bad start at all. That's really exciting.
Just do well enough. Like, I want it to be like the biggest thing in the fucking world, but at the same time, like, I just want a season 2.
Yeah. Please
get this to season 2. I want more Invincible, please.
Yep. Like Kirkman said on the episode, if you haven't checked it out, we released a special episode last Monday. Our chat with Robert Kirkman, all about the show. keep running it. Run it on a loop. We want to see more of this. Something else, we actually had to make a quick edit in that episode just because we didn't want something taken out of context. But during the quickfire, we actually asked Robert if they had plans for a season 2. And he said yes.
That's all he said.
And then I moved on to the next question. We cut that out because we didn't want that to be misconstrued as a confirmation as a season 2, because there
is going to be a season 2.
Yeah, it is not confirmed. There's nothing out there that, as of yet, that confirms a season 2. But he meant that as, yeah, of course, like they wrote like this with plans for a season 2. Like they've thought about it. Like that's the way I think he meant it. So
right,
we didn't want that to be taken out of context, but we also wanted to tell you guys that that's what he's talking about. So
not only that, guys, but like, spread it. Spread the word. Like, don't just be like, my parents won't like it, my sister won't like it, my brother won't like it. Sit down and watch them. Invincible is the hardest thing to get past the intro, or the first 7 comics or whatever it is, and the show is probably going to be the same way. Just sit them down, have them laugh at the first joke, and then you're in. The first joke that happened, I won't spoil it. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I know we're bouncing
they've
around.
seen it by now, Bill. Like
so
it's
so
weird to think that we can talk about it now.
I know.
Yeah.
So
weird. When
people are making jokes on Twitter and shit, like
I literally if you're hearing this, if you're listening to this, we are spoiling the show. We have seen the first 3 episodes. We're assuming you have seen the first 3 episodes. Go ahead, Bill.
When Red Rush was saving all the people, and then they started throwing up, they were dying laughing, and I was like, okay, got them, they're in. Yeah. Yep. It was great. It was so fun. It was so cool watching it with someone who's had no experience with Invincible before. It was an incredible moment. I'm so happy to have sat there and just watched them. Yeah. Like that. It was great.
And especially people who haven't read the comic either. So that's huge. I mean, did they take the end of episode 1 as expected?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Everyone, my mom was like dad, and my dad was like, what's happening?
Awesome.
And
I love
it's
it.
funny because Riker, my 10-year-old, he watched it with us, and I was like, before they all died, at the end, I was like, Riker, who's your favorite Guardian? He was like, oh, I like the Green Ghost, the phasing one. I'm like, oh yeah, she's pretty cool.
Oh and then why'd you do that? Why'd you do that to him? Poor kid. Oh.
But it was just cool because we were talking, and I was like, Riker, what were your favorite parts? And he was like, I really like it's super funny, it's super gory. He's like, I love Rexplode is super funny. Mm-hmm. And my dad was like, who's Rexplode? And he's like, Papa, he's the one who charges the stuff and throws the bombs at him. And I'm like, my son is talking about Rexplode right now. Like,
good man.
It's happening.
Good man.
It's happening.
Oh God, the hype.
Dude, there's billboards. There's billboards of Invincible.
I want to say this on when Invincible animated series first got announced. We immediately obviously did an episode just based on that and our expectations, and I kept talking about
we
promotion.
both listened to that today, right?
I just re-listened to it today, and I literally was like, promotion is everything. They need to promote it. And you guys were like, yeah, maybe they'll do this. And I was like, no, I want it on fucking billboards. I want it on, and we got that. We got billboards. They did it. I think they did a nice job. Of course, I always want more, but I think they did a nice job promoting it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I also said that there's no way they're just going to end the first episode with, I want to try that. I'm invincible.
Yeah, no.
I don't know why I thought that, but that was very wrong. Speaking of promotions, if you're lucky enough to live near a major comic book shop, some comic book shops in the country, or maybe world, I don't know, at least in the country, are getting some really cool promos. So you can go there, you can get a poster, you can get a pack of
tote bag.
Pins, a tote bag. They have this it's super random, but it's kind of cool. It's a sewing kit, and it's from Art Rosenbaum's tailor shop. And there's a phone number on it. And if you call the phone number, you can enter sweepstakes to get a bunch of signed comics or something like that, I think. We got a new issue 1. See, again, these things would have been a big deal a year ago. New issue 1, a new Ryan Ottley art. And then in the back, we have the introduction to the Guardians. So this came out, a week or two, maybe 2 weeks ago. And this would have been everyone's first look at the Guardians of the Globe, which is, like you said, Bill, a really great thing to do because it introduces people to these characters, right off the bat.
And then fucking kills him in the first episode.
Dude, it was so like when it did like the call when they were all getting called and she walked out and the woman and War Woman walked out. She was talking and then Riker's like, "Oh, that's War Woman, isn't it?" Like he was like getting super invested in the Guardians, and I was like going like, "Oh,
that's great. I love it." I mean, that's what it's supposed to do. I was hoping they would do that.
Yeah.
So. A couple other things that I have on our news list. They released a few like TV spot kind of trailers, which we talked about. Oh, maybe this is what they'll do and not do another full trailer, which is what they did. So we didn't react too much to these because at the time we weren't allowed to say, but we had seen the first 3 episodes, and I was being honest. I didn't really watch those trailers that closely because I feel like I had seen enough and we didn't want to see a lot more.
Right.
And so, yeah, they look great. I mean, I remember one was all themed around like space. They had, featuring the voice of Worf, more sci-fi themed, and it teased Alan. Another one was like themed around horror, and it had like something to do with maybe the Reaniman. I think that was the one with the green guy in it. We don't know who that was.
Yeah, like a skeleton, like
something.
Like,
yeah. And then there was another one that was all based on like gore, and that one showed a ton of blood, had Battle Beast, and was teasing it and like joking about it being like this family friendly show. Mm-hmm. So yeah, cool. Like TJ, like they're promoting this thing. I mean, Amazon Prime is pushing it. I'm seeing tonight people talking about it being on like the header for either Amazon's streaming service or Roku or whatever. So it's happening.
It is happening. And we've been waiting for to like talk about this with people too. Like I'm literally just like scrolling Twitter.
I know, man. I'm trying to just ignore right now.
Not Will Smith 957 just said currently peeing my pants right now, or so he said something that.
Yeah.
Like just like making jokes about the animated.
People know
I'm
the
so
jokes.
ready for this.
People know the jokes.
So ready for this.
Oh man, it's so so ready. All right, so we're gonna go now to our thoughts and reactions to these episodes. I also want to say right here at the top of this episode, I'm hoping to go live, today, Friday, hopefully the 26th. After this though, they're probably gonna go live on Saturday, if not Sunday, because odds are if they're gonna keep releasing them on Thursday nights, the 3 of us will watch Thursday nights. Probably record Friday sometime. I'd like to get everybody to send in their thoughts, your reactions. I want to hear what you think of the newest episode. So we'll record on Friday nights. I'll edit Friday night, and then we'll post it on Saturday. So I think that works best for everybody. We're not cramming to hurry up and watch the episode one time and try to remember, about it as we talk about it. So, just so everybody knows going forward, that's going to be the schedule. Other than that, keep in mind, we're pretty loose on spoilers for the show. I mean, obviously the show, but for the comic, we are not going to spoil anything past like issue 20, 25 if you're currently reading Invincible. And even that, we really don't. Mm-hmm. I mean, we already recorded our episode 1, 2, 3 reactions. I don't think we really say much about the comic at all. So you should be good. Yeah, that does it. So here it is. Roughly 3 hours of us talking about the first 3 episodes of Invincible. There are time codes. Enjoy.
You don't have to watch it all in one sitting.
That's what I'm saying. You got the time codes. Bounce around if you need to. It's all good.
It's best enjoyed sitting down and watching the entire thing.
All right. Enjoy.
I'm scared, Dad. What if I can't do this?
Follow me. Slow down. Land. I said land. Stop! Get up.
I'm actually getting used to this a little.
That's not good.
Hey everybody, we are here with the first episode thoughts and reactions. This is episode 1, It's About Time, the first episode of the Invincible animated series. We watched this I can't even say a couple days ago. This was a couple weeks ago. And so we're sitting here after we've gotten a chance to watch it. How many times would you guys say you guys have seen this?
The first episode?
Yeah.
I think I've watched it probably maybe 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I think I was going to say half a dozen. So yeah,
I'd say 5 times.
I've actually
5 times.
I've actually watched it, the first episode, 3 times in a row without watching the other two, just because I really wanted to get in the headspace of the first episode again, so we can record this, give our thoughts on the first episode. So I'm excited to talk about it. Clocking in at 47 minutes and 15 seconds. I'm curious to see if they're going to play with that wiggle room more of it being the hour, but really 40 some minute kind of thing. Did it feel long to you guys?
I think. Go ahead.
Okay. I think we're used to animated being 30 minutes. And in that case, 30 minutes is actually 22 minutes or 21 minutes with cartoons, 25 minutes. So this felt, it felt kind of not exhausting in a bad way. When we talked about this when we first watched it together, but it's just weird watching an hour long thing that you can just like, you don't have to be like, okay, when's it going to end? When's it going to end? You can like actually relax a little bit and enjoy it. And that's, you have to adjust. You have to adjust the way that you watch an animated hour long thing like this.
I think adding to that too, like we talked about this in our interview with Kirkman, which is also up now. This is kind of the first of its kind. We haven't really seen an animated series that's an hour long. I can't think of a single animated series that's an hour long. Maybe there's some out there. I'm sure there's maybe some animes that are out there, but none that I've watched. Yeah. So it's different. But so yeah, it did kind of feel long, but at the same time, like I'm going back to when we first watched it, the three of us watched it together, and it was like, I don't know if euphoria is the right word, but we were just like so high. Like the little things that didn't matter. We were like, yes, overload. This is amazing.
It was sensory overload. It definitely was. And I mean, the hour thing, it's weird because it does feel long, but obviously not in a bad way. We love that, but it's weird because like you're getting at a point, you feel that point in which a normal cartoon or animated thing would have ended, and then it just keeps going. It's great. I think that they're able to tell a lot of story, and as we get into it this episode, I think that it was necessary to tell this first episode in the way that they did. So, initial thoughts though, TJ. Just I mean, kind of as surface level as you can. What was your initial thoughts?
My initial thought was that, like, I was trying to take notes, but it was difficult the first time we watched it too, because I wanted to like pay attention and really dig it all, like take it all in. And one note that I did put down was not a lot of, adult thing. Like I put so many positives, but the one negative I had was not a lot of adult stuff, like not a lot of swearing, not a lot of blood. And I was nervous that it was going to kind of capture people until the fucking end, obviously. Like the end, and that was perfect too, because that's what the comic did. It makes you think that it's just kind of like a mediocre thing, like don't think much of it, and then it just gets fucking crazy.
Yeah. Phil?
My answer is two parts. So, because there's a duality to it, right? There's I'm a fan of Invincible, but then I also like to like be like, if my mom were to be watching, and I don't know why I always judge if something's good as if my mom would like it, because it's just a completely different generation. But if she would like it, obviously that's great. So top layer, me as a fucking fan of Invincible, I don't obviously there's some things that I have to gripe about, but I don't think that they could have done a better job than exactly what we wanted. That being said, as someone being introduced to the show, I think that it is a bit of a issue until you get to the very end. And if you guys had listened to the Robert Kirkman, that was something that we had talked about before. Like, he really talked about how, to TJ's point, it's like people will be watching and be like, what is this? I hear everyone talking about blood. Oh my God, what's happening? Like, it's supposed to fucking hit like that. But I just hope that people that aren't used to an hour-long animated thing have to wait 45 minutes to get to the thing that makes it great. And that's so nitpicky, because we waited fucking a year to get to it,
Another thing too, though, to add to that, and Ryan, we want to get your perspective too, but like,
if you have one after all this,
but saying that we just want these, like, people who haven't read Invincible, we just want to get them to the end of the episode. We just want to get them to the end of the episode. We originally thought we just want to get them to the third episode or whenever, or the sixth episode. Like, they only have to get through one episode to understand why this is good. And so
if that's not enough, then
yeah.
So It's tough because we're really close to this. We're really close to Invincible, obviously doing this podcast and being fans for years and years before doing the podcast. And so it's an easy thing to watch and be like, oh, that's not how it happened in the comics, or that's, the costume's different, or the color is different, or that's not how I would have done the animation, or that person's voice isn't how it sounded in my head. I feel like we talked about this for a while leading up to this, and there was always that concern, that are we too close to it? And all I can remember, man, is watching that first episode, and multiple times I would look, because we actually got to watch it together in the same room, which was amazing. Multiple times I looked over at you guys and I'm like, is this really happening? Like, is this actually this good right now? Like,
and it was the times that we would take to discuss quickly, this is happening, right? This is good. Holy shit.
Like something, I remember there was a moment where it was happening on screen. I think I remember what it was. And I looked at you guys and I'm like, this is good, right? Like, I'm not fucking crazy.
I believe when you did that was right after the discussion with, it wasn't even a big moment. It was just his discussion with his parents, which at the time that was not released yet. That clip got released on an Invincible Friday, 2 weeks after.
And I must have done it multiple times because I was thinking of two other scenes that I thought I might have said that.
Yeah, I think you did do it multiple times. We were all kind of
So at the end of the day, initial impressions were very surreal. Like you said, TJ, it was a lot at once. It was very overwhelming. It was sensory overload. And like you said, Bill, I couldn't imagine a better episode 1 than what they managed to give us in the first episode. Thrilled with it. So happy with it. And I'm excited to break it down now.
Break it down.
Excellent.
All right. All right. Here we go. Episode 1 of Invincible opens on the sun and the American flag. We're at the White House and there are 2 security guards out front. One of them is Steve.
They actually did it. They actually fucking did it.
Within 30 seconds, one of the predictions was wrong. They wasted no time.
I think at that point we were just like, oh, okay, well, fuck it all. We'll just sit down and enjoy it now because we know we're wrong.
We're wrong about everything.
It was released that John Hamm was playing the voice of Steve, and we were all convinced that Steve was not a real character and he was probably going to be Thrag. That we all were in agreement on that, and we were dead wrong.
Yep.
So it opens up with Steve and
he's talking to
John Hamm.
Yeah, John Hamm, and I don't know the other actor's name, but he's talking to the other security guard, and they've got superhuman training coming up where they have to learn to fight back against supervillains and whatnot. But Steve goes into this really great monologue about his stepson Matt and how he's gone through some really tough times and how he's so proud of him because he's graduating soon, and he's going to take him to London because he loves the Beatles and everything like that, and he's never had a son of his own. And this really poignant moment and it's kind of cut short in a lighthearted way, but then pretty dramatically with the Maulers attacking.
I thought for sure that in the middle of his speech, he was going to get hit by a tank or something, he was going to die. Yeah. Because it was so heartfelt, and it was oh shit, something's going to happen to him.
Mm-hmm. So Maulers, the first villains we see in the Invincible animated series, they break out of the ground and they immediately start insulting each other, calling each other the clone, and they say that they need to kill the president publicly. Steve actually shoots the one in the eye, which is, I think, a neat point to bring up, that from that point on you can tell the difference between the two of them because there's always going to be some kind of distinguishing feature. And then before that Mauler can kill Steve, the Guardians of the Globe show up. So we get a long fight scene where we actually get to see them in action, something we really never got to see in the comic book. Even Aquarius getting to actually do something. So they're fighting back. Red Rush is saving people. We got puke scene. But I think the kind of the standout scene was Darkwing.
Dude, 100%.
Definitely Darkwing.
Everything about Darkwing was sick. And I'll start from the beginning. When he shoots and catches that person, and then his board goes back to him, little things like that. Obviously, when he was under the tank and rescued that one girl, Like
what he
just
does
felt
at the end of the issue, or at the end of the episode, like he is really cool. The way he uses his gadgets, you know.
Yeah.
But that moment where they're being crushed, and he makes sure grab onto the zip line or the grapple.
Bat grapple.
Yeah, and it pulls her out, and right before he's crushed, Omni-Man saves him. So we've got Omni-Man, of course, you know, big explosions behind him. It's very dramatic. So they fight back. They save. They get everybody out of there, and then they go to town on the Muller twins in a really, really cool way. All using their own abilities, showing that they are a team, a legitimate team. Like, I think that was a great introduction for viewers watching this show for the first time. That this is your Avengers, basically, or your Justice League, which is funny because when I'm watching it, I'm just thinking about the Guardians of the Globe. I'm not able to step aside as though I've never seen Invincible and be like, these are kind of Justice League, you know, references.
That's the duality piece. Like, we're not because we think the Guardians, but everybody else would be like, wait, that's a red fast guy. That's like the Flash. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But I think that's kind of part of it too. It's meant to be like that.
It's supposed to be, obviously.
Yeah. And so obviously that's,
you
know, that's what, you know, we're going to be providing the point of view from the Invincible fan on this show. So, you know, that's one thing that I'm really curious to see a week from now, or over the course of the next week, as people who've never read Invincible start watching this, and they start giving their thoughts back. I'm excited to see what they think. It ends with a large explosion, and that explosion ends up becoming the explosion on the back of Mark's comic book. Mark is sitting on the toilet reading Seance Dog.
So no Science Dog.
That's right. So people were talking about this because we didn't know that scene was going to be released. But yes, it is Seance Dog. Yeah, we didn't get a chance to ask Robert Kirkman about it because when we recorded with him, we didn't know that would be public. But I'm hoping that if he doesn't get a chance to talk about it publicly before episode 100, we'll ask him on episode 100 what that decision was all about.
By the way, Robert Kirkman's coming on issue 1 or episode 100.
And
we mentioned that before.
It's good. They will have known by now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, cheers.
It was at the end. It was at the end of the Robert Kirkman interview. Yeah. Anyways, unless I end up not keeping that in there, in which case, surprise. So Seance Dog, again, we'll talk to him later on about the reason behind it and everything. But ultimately, I think it's a fun play on words, and it's not that big of a deal, I don't think. I mean, obviously, we got something coming up, potentially in season 2 that might be a thing. But other than that, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. So that opening scene was awesome. It was really cool getting to see that because it was something we've never seen in the comics before. But this moment, when Mark is sitting there and Debbie knocks on the door and Mark says he's reading the comic book and she barges in is the moment where it just like, it got me, man. It got me because that switch, that little play on what we expect from the comic and it being done in such a fun way, that was great. I loved that.
Yeah, I think that was, I laughed hysterically and I was expecting it too. But to your point, Ryan, it was changed just enough and expanded on to make it fresh for us too.
Yeah,
you know?
I feel like that, like little things like that is going to make, it's going to make an Invincible fan watching the show with a non-Invincible reader. It's going to make the Invincible fan look like an insane person because like this person's going to crack up at that moment, but the person who never read it is just going to be like, yeah, I guess it was kind of funny, but like it was. I feel like that was more for the readers because of the change is what made it so fun.
I think it was at that point too when I was actually able to kind of relax and start to enjoy what I was watching because I was so like the Guardians thing was happening. I'm like, all right. Where are they going? Like, I'm still kind of skeptical.
Yeah,
like,
you hadn't found your groove yet. Like, this is all still new.
I wasn't allowing it to like really penetrate me, you know. like to let I didn't let my guard down, you know. And at that scene, I was like, all right, this is fucking great. Like, hearing Mark talk, hearing Debbie talk, and that interaction. So
Mark goes downstairs, turns on the news, very much like issue 1, the opening of issue 1. You know, it's Omni-Man at the White House with the Guardians of the Globe. Debbie mentions, is it the Lizard League? Doc Seismic? That was cool hearing those two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right off the bat.
Because especially, we know Doc Seismic was cast, but Lizard League, that's cool.
Not only that, but it's setting the tone and letting people who haven't read the comic know that this is an established universe, with that it already has known supervillains and kind of bringing them up.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfect.
Omni-Man shows up at home. I love the affection that Debbie and Nolan show towards each other, and I love what it does to Mark. He has this little freak out. Now, this whole scene, the next couple scenes are things that were released online for the IGN FanFest thing. So you've all seen this, I'm sure, a couple times. But I love Mark getting grossed out. I love the fact that they're flying to Germany to get sausages. Nolan's mentioned that Mark is a late bloomer was really great, because that's something that we've always talked about in the comics that was never really made clear in the comic. Him standing outside trying to fly. Then we've got the high school. William, he's great. We've talked about this already. He's openly gay from the start this time.
Which is smart.
Yep.
It's the best way to do it.
I like his little joke with about Omni-Man and the mustache. He wants to hang out.
It's probably an arc that they probably went through and talked about things that they could cut out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What little arcs B stories can they cut out? And William dating Eve and eventually coming out was probably just one of those things that they were like, yeah, we could just make him gay from the start. What does that really add to the story? You know what I mean? We should really dig into this instead of William coming out of the closet. So I am okay with it. I wasn't okay with it at first, but
because you like that arc in the comics.
I love that arc. Yeah. But I also, I feel like him being established in the show and what they did with his character in the show, and Mark being friends with him from the start, and I just like the relationship. I think that it was well done.
I'll say this too, kind of going off of what you're saying, I do like that in the comic too. But one thing that I've always said about Walking Dead is change it. Definitely change it. Just make it good. And this is good. Mm-hmm. They're both good, and we can appreciate both.
Yeah. We see Todd messing with Amber, which Amber sounds incredible. I love what Zazie Beetz did.
Zazie Beetz, yeah.
Amber shutting down Todd. Mark wanted to step in and help, and William saying, "You're not Omni-Man." And Mark saying, basically, we'll see about that. There's only one way to find out. Mark steps in, the music's building, and then he immediately just gets punched, and it cuts off. And I thought that was really well done. Amber fights back, kicks him in the balls, and thanks Mark.
I will say that I already like Amber probably more than I did in the comic.
100%.
She is a better character in the
She's
series.
More well-rounded. Yes. She has more personality.
Absolutely.
She's not just a popular blonde girl.
Yeah. And of course we have some from other episodes influencing our thoughts on her, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And she was good in the comic. If you really read back, anytime that she argued with Mark was super valid and really great. She had a great voice, but this is one of the times where somehow they just wrote her better. Yeah. She's just written as a better character. I think people are going to really like her more. In the new readers, doesn't Brittany hate Amber?
I think so. I think so.
I don't think that would be the case here. I think she'd be like, I'm Team Amber. You know what I mean? So. It's going to be a better love triangle.
Yes, that I agree with. And I'm excited to get to where that's going to go.
Yeah.
Again, knowing what we know about episode 1, 2, and 3. Burger Mart. Great looking location shot, taking out the trash. This scene, I mentioned it on Twitter. I feel like we've talked about it before. I don't know if it was on air or not, but man, we all know and understand that feeling of kicking open the door, dragging those trash bags, them tearing open, flipping up that lid, and just heaving the garbage bag into it. It was all, the animation was done so well on that, and the comedic timing of the second bag just disappearing was done so well. I absolutely love that. This is one thing
that this is one of those scenes that I'm glad that they didn't change. And then they just made it all that more better with like you said, Ryan, with the pushing the dumpster open and everything.
Yep. Yeah. And of course, it's about time, which is great. I mean, the fact that that's the title of the first episode, that it feels kind of like there's a double meaning there for Invincible fans, it's awesome. Mm-hmm. He goes home. they're sitting around at dinner. Nolan zooms in and he apologizes because there was a dragon attacking Hong Kong. A dragon. And it's like, what? Come on. That's so cool.
Why is that cool, Ryan?
Because that's Mr. Lee. Mr. Liu?
It depends on how you pronounce it.
Yeah. And I mean, issue 1 of the podcast. This is getting confusing. Issue 1 of the comic book. When Mark is watching TV and talking about Omni-Man on TV, he's fighting the dragon. And he's in Taiwan in that, but regardless, that's pretty cool, man. Those kind of things.
Back later. That's why it makes it so good, because it comes back later in the comic, and
it's setting it up just like Lizard League, man.
Yeah.
All right, so then we've got Mark saying, "Guess who's getting their powers?" And then there's this awkward silence with Nolan being like, and Debbie like looking at Nolan, and Nolan looks really stern, and Nolan's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Pretty sure." Threw a trash bag into space.
It was that was great. Stephen Young, his timing.
There's a big difference here. I mean, obviously in the comic, they don't make a big deal about it. They're like, pass the potatoes, whatever. It's not a big deal. But I understand why they made that change, because they have to kind of push this this narrative of Nolan being
why this is
what he is.
Nolan's been waiting 18 years or whatever, 16 years or whatever for this moment to find out.
And this, which is the whole point of the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Can I just say that there's a part in this episode where he says maybe it would have been better if he never even got his powers. I think that his reaction here was like, it's time to start the plan.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like he didn't almost want to. Like he's feeling a little bit of remorse about it. Like he's like, oh shit, that's right. Like,
and I think when he says that later, I think it's the wake up call. It's like shit, back to reality. And that says so much about his character that when we did the reread for volume 1 of Invincible, and we see those moments of Nolan just kind of like he pauses a couple times, or he's sitting in bed and he has a look on his face, or he hesitates. This is what we're getting. It's way more fleshed out, and it's done so well. So they say, great news, training starts tomorrow. Mark's in bed, and we get the flashback. Nolan is talking to a young Mark. Mark's wearing a shirt that says Canada, which I thought was funny.
I mean, so I had a question on that. He's wearing a shirt that says Canada. He's also wearing shorts that match it, and it looks like he's coming from like an arena soccer game. It looks like legit. Do you think maybe there's a deleted scene in there?
No, I just think it's just
I don't think
for whatever reason. Yeah.
Well, but why Canada? Do you think there's any kind of significance to that at all?
Dude, it could have been one of the animators that decided to just make him have it on. Like, that doesn't necessarily have to be in the script. Like, he has to have a Canada shirt on. You know what I mean?
And nothing, and I've looked at it, and there's really nothing building-wise that gives away a location. Because like comics always kind of lean towards Baltimore. But there's a few times in this show where there's major cities and there's buildings from across multiple cities. And you can just assume that he's flying through different ones, or that it's just a made-up universe. So
yeah.
So he's in bed. We got the flashback. Young Nolan, and Nolan tells him about Viltrum. He tells him about how they're similar to humans but with powers, and that they would, after they get their powers, they would move on to help lesser developed worlds, and that he chose Earth to be as their sole protector, and that you, Mark, are a half Viltrumite, and you're gonna get, you're gonna start going through puberty, and things are gonna change, and you're gonna start getting powers. And little Mark stands up and says, "I'm gonna be able to fly." I think that was Stephen Yeun doing a young voice. The more I watch it, the more
it
I'm
sounded like Little Kato. Yeah.
Oh, good point. Yeah, that's kind of. And it cuts to Mark standing on the roof, and he's got the hesitation about whether or not he should jump off because he doesn't know if he's got flight yet. But if he doesn't, the whole thing, it's perfect. It's right from the comics, man. It's
guys.
Yeah.
I fucking love this. I loved so much that he could fly, but he did not know how to fly. And it is so it's so awesome seeing this. And then there's a character in the future comics that I don't know if we want to spoil it right now. But his flying ability is kind of the same as this character's flying ability, and they just didn't know how to. So, I mean, in the comic book, he could just fly and he was great at it. You know what I mean? Like there were no problems at all. And this was completely different. And I thought another perfect fucking change, because it's like, if I never knew how to fly, I wouldn't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah. And the music in this moment, the music's really swelling, and the plane, and he goes up too high and he loses, like, he gets disoriented and he starts to get, out into space almost, wakes up as he's falling, crashes, and it cuts to the alarm and he's like dead tired. The alarm saying, train time or flight time with dad.
Flight time. Yeah.
But so Nolan walks in, he says, put some pants on, and they go to head out for training. They're flying. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So they're flying, and he talks about how, Mark, you're a baby flyer, and you got to focus on it like you're walking. Like you just, like when you were a baby and you didn't know how to walk, you had to really think about it. That's what you're doing now.
One thing that he says too, before you get to what you're building to, he says, as you're flying, it's like a muscle that you can strain.
Yeah.
So you fly for a bit and then use that momentum to just glide, glide, and then fly and then glide. And I thought that was kind of a cool concept.
There's so many cool concepts in this. And he talks about how you're going to have trouble relaxing and not tensing up. You don't want to be so tense. You need to relax and use that momentum. And he said it's kind of like peeing your pants on purpose. And Mark's like, what? Peeing your pants on purpose?
And he just keeps going with it.
Yeah. He's like, your whole life you don't want to pee your pants. You train yourself not to pee your pants, and then you pee your pants.
Suddenly you want to do it on purpose. And Mark's like, how do you know this? What are you talking about? It's such a funny scene. And then they go to land. Mark crashes. We get the scene where he's like, I think I'm getting used to this. That's not good. Then this moves into talking about fighting and flying and how you can create your own leverage. TJ, we were talking about this before, about how
I love this.
If we need to be able to throw a punch and we're not on the ground, you create your own leverage in the way. So talking about that, which is a really cool concept. And Nolan's like, something like this. Mark's like what? And he punches him in the chest, and the music stops, and you hear Mark gasping for air. And he's like, you hurt me. And Mark, and then Nolan says, you have to be prepared. No one is going to pull their punches.
Stephen Yeun's acting in this moment where he's like, you hurt me. Like, you could almost barely make out what he's saying. It was
He's
perfect.
It sounds like he got the wind knocked out of him.
I really felt for him in that moment.
I wonder if he was like, all right, someone just punch me in the stomach as hard as you can and let me say my lines.
At this point, I have no doubt at all in Stephen Yeun. I mean, up to this point, he was good. And it's like, this was a moment where I'm like, holy shit. Like, he's so good at this. And it just keeps proving it more and more as these episodes go on. All right, now they're back home. Debbie says, did you push him too far? Nolan snaps at her saying, are you questioning me? And then he brings it back down a little bit. And he's concerned because maybe Mark got his powers so late. Maybe our lives would have been better if he didn't get powers at all. That's some new stuff, man. That's something that has never really come, like we talked about, never really come up in the comics, and that's such a deep thing that really adds a lot. And
I think the most important part of that is the fact that Mark heard him say that.
Yeah.
And he went to his door and slammed his door.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot in that
which goes in
super quick scene, like the way Nolan snaps at her, Mark hearing it, him saying that maybe we've been better off without getting powers, the way Nolan might be feeling, like we talked about earlier, Bill, like maybe he doesn't want this. There's a part of him that doesn't want this.
And that's really great. That's really great writing, because anybody could write a character as good and stoic, and then all of a sudden all the choices that they make up until this bad thing that they do is like good and awesome and everything's great and bright, and then all of a sudden they make a bad decision and you're like, well, that came out of nowhere, but hey, it's a twist.
Yeah.
This is like human. Like it's human. Like he has doubt and he's being pulled in so many different directions, and you can see it from beginning to end. It's so fucking well done. It's so, and J.K. Simmons, guys.
Jesus.
We haven't even mentioned J.K. Simmons yet.
I know, which is crazy. I mean, everyone did really good. Sandra Oh did amazing. Zazie Beetz did amazing. Stephen Yeun, J.K. Simmons, like, they're all so good. Like, to the point where it just sounds right. And you don't really you're not like hearing. I mean, obviously J.K. Simmons is tough because it's like, okay, this is JJ, but no, it's Nolan. All right, back at Reginald VelJohnson, Todd attacks again, picking on Mark, and Mark has this moment where he's telling him to hit him. He's like, hit me, and then he's like, hit me again, again, and Todd calls him a freak and runs off because Mark's not even flinching. He's just taking it. Then Mark's just like, I need something to punch. What was that all about? What was that all about? Is that him? Because the last time we saw him, he heard his dad say that. And now he's starting to feel, I'm sorry, I'm working this out as I'm saying it, because I haven't put a lot of thought into this.
That's why I made a point to say that he overheard Nolan say that, because I think it goes into this where he's saying, I need something to punch, and it goes into this next scene.
Yes, what he says, on the roof. Dude, so in the city, he's flying around with his homemade costume that's comic accurate.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's exactly like it. Again, make changes. Guardians of the Globe look awesome. Those changes that they made to them, great. This is exact. He's following the sound of gunfire. He still can't fly right. He still can't land. He's like crashing into buildings and damaging them. And then we see Titan and the robbers from issue 1. Almost word for word in their bickering. Titan, jumps over the gate with them, and Mark flies into him, tumbles, because he can't land, says, I meant to do that.
Destroying buildings on his way, going through buildings, ripping up the street.
Yep. They joke about what his name is, because Titan's like, who the hell are you? Which, God, Mahershala Ali, come on.
He sounds really cool while he's in stone form too. I really like the way that they made him sound.
I hope if I'm curious, I guess I should say, I guess I can't say I hope, but if we see him again, I'm curious to see whether or not he sounds different outside of the stone, which you'd think he would, right?
Yeah.
That'd be cool. They joke about his name. Mark beats him up pretty hardcore. Obviously, the rock falling away. Nolan arrives, says he looks ridiculous, and he says, follow me. And they go to a rooftop. These moments, man. These moments. And it's funny because I never would have thought that these moments that we're like just dwelling on here, not even in the comic, if you would have said that these were some of our favorite moments, I never would have questioned, like, what are you talking about? So, and not in the comic. So Nolan's standing there, saying, I think you skipped a few steps, and he talks about how he's caused more damage than he's stopping. Mark says, hit me. I wasn't ready before. I was scared. You never hit me like that. I can do this. He says, please, it's all I ever wanted. All I ever wanted was to be just like you. And Nolan says,
because he's trying to prove himself to Nolan after overhearing him say that to Debbie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he says,
this is all I don't have it directly in front of me, but this is all I've ever wanted for as long as I can remember, which is like, he's been hoping to be Omni-Man since he was fucking 2, since he knew what his dad was. It's such a powerful moment. And at this point I was like, Stephen Yeun has done Mark as funny. He has done him as getting his ass handed to him and being very vulnerable when his dad hit him. He's like, oh, I don't know. And then he's done like very persistent,
angry and emotional.
That's the Mark that we're gonna get when he's punching through people and breaking bones. And
this is just going to be the podcast where we talk about how good the voices are, because they're all so good.
I mean, for a while our podcast was just like Ryan Ottley art. Like, that's all that it was. All we did was talk about how fucking good Ryan Ottley is. And you're right, TJ. We're probably just gonna be. This could be like the Stephen Yeun podcast, because that's all we've done is talk about how great he is.
It's true. But come on, these moments. He says it's all I ever wanted, and Nolan replies, "You will be," and he says, "Follow me." And we've got.
He said, "Let me make up for this," and I think that's something too, because I think Nolan probably knows that he overheard him say that, or at least understands why Mark is feeling the way he's feeling. He knows that Mark thinks that he's letting Nolan down, so he says, "Let me make this up to you," and then
we're at Art's shop. We see the original orange and yellow in comic accurate exact. He goes to try it on. I like that he calls it pretty loud because again, that's coming back to what I forgot who it was, told Robert Kirkman about the original design for the costume was that it was a little loud. And they even say it in the comic book that it sings, but it's not the tune you're looking for. So it was cool that we got that audio type comment. Mark saying that he likes the goggles though. He wants something more iconic. Art says you got to decide on a name first and get back to me.
Another thing that I like about this too is, like we were talking about with the dragon. Again, we won't spoil too much. We won't pull too deep from the comic, but this costume it didn't seem out of place, but it was kind of like it didn't have any relevance to anything. He was like, oh, you can't blame a guy for trying to sell a suit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To us as Invincible readers, we know what that suit is because it does come back in later on in the comic. But to someone not reading it or haven't read it, they don't think anything of that. And it's just kind of like, like a nonchalant type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill. Good.
Yeah, I think, he sounds like old man, which is great.
Back at home, Debbie's looking for Mark, and she keeps hearing these loud booms. She goes outside, and Mark is practicing his landing because he needs to get better at this. And she's like, "No, come inside."
Tons of holes in the yard.
Yeah, yeah. And Debbie is like, "No, come inside. You've got school tomorrow." And Mark. It focuses on Mark, and Mark says, "Make me." And she's like, "Does that make you feel strong, knowing that I can't stop you?" What was that? That was...
Yeah, it was a little jarring.
Jarring is absolutely the right word, because this is the first like real step out of bounds for Mark's character in terms of where we're at in the comic book at this point.
It goes back to what I said, because later on in the comic, it's very clear that Mark, he lets his emotions get the best of him sometimes. And this is establishing that he is not perfect. He's got emotions in him that he doesn't quite understand. And we understand him as him being a Viltrumite. But I thought, when we saw it, it was all kind of like, we didn't feel good.
It almost makes you feel gross.
Yeah, we didn't feel good. We were like, it's supposed to. It's supposed to feel like, it's supposed to alienate you because he's being so disrespectful out of nowhere.
Yeah. So it does the job. And Debbie talks about how she doesn't have powers. You know, I can't fly in the sky with you. It used to be you and me on the ground. But now I'm just your boring old mom. And Mark tells her that I'm more like you. I'm not like Dad. I'm nothing special. Which I love that. I love that he says that he's more like Debbie than he is Nolan. And he says that, how can I live up to him? Which I think is a great line. And Debbie says to be the greatest you. And so great scene between them, giving more, across the board. And now a scene that we've talked about a lot. This was the first full scene released. They're in the sky. It's Nolan and Mark playing catch. Mark talking about his fear of doing this and what if I can't do this? The music being amazing. I know we've talked about that. Nolan saying, hey, you caught it, even though you were nervous. That's what this is. It's going to be a long journey that we're going to be on. You might not think you can do what needs to be done. Kids your age think they're invincible, but you actually are. Runs to Art's shop, says he's got the name, and then it's him, cut to him in the costume, standing up on top of that crane, and you hear like this beat kick in, and that's where the trailer ends. But this isn't the trailer, this is the full episode, and that beat keeps going. And he drops off the crane, and Cage the Elephant starts playing, and it's like,
fucking Cage the Elephant.
Broken Boy by Cage the Elephant. And this was the flight choreography was so good.
Dude.
It was so good. And it matched the music perfectly.
He does this little move where he literally does what Nolan talked about, creating your own momentum and your own leverage, where he's turning a corner and then he does a flip and then it's like he kicks off the air in another direction. Like he goes around, spins and kicks off the air. It looked so fucking cool. Like that's what I'm looking for, is how are they going to make flying different, look cool, and
it looked great. Him flying along the building,
dude. I can't wait for huge action fighting in air and stuff like that. It's gonna be sick.
This scene was just so much fun. It's just a big stupid smile on my face. While he's flying, a laser pierces the sky. He flies down. It's Kill Cannon yelling at some police officers. Mark flies down, knocks him out, lands, which is like, hey. Yeah. Then he goes after him. After he throws him first, and then he goes after, punches him. And we got that awesome scene that you see a second of in the trailer of him punching him and throwing him around in one take, like tracking them and as the city flies by. So cool. He throws him down, and Kill Cannon is like, who are you? Or something. And Mark says, you might as well give up. I'm Title. And that's where we get the title.
That was a pretty long cold open.
That was a long cold open.
That was a 45 minute long.
Speaking of, you think that's a long cold open? This is the longest after credit scene, clocking in at like 10 minutes. So we get written by Robert Kirkman, maybe a producer, I'm not sure. And then boom, it's you hear Olga talking to Red Rush. They're having their picnic. They're talking about, Aquarius. Maybe, don't be so hard on him. Red Rush disappears, stops Kursk. That's awesome.
Who?
Kursk. Dude, like, if you look at the Corey Walker variant for issue 100 with Mark facing all the villains, we've seen and at least know the casting for like almost all of them. We've got so many name drops and villains. It's amazing. So anyways, he goes, stops him, comes back. Holga's really upset because he's disappearing. She doesn't like when he does that. He talks about how it's torture listening to people carry on a conversation because his perception is so high, and it makes her upset. He makes it right.
That's great, by the way.
Great. So
that's
good.
Really cool.
Yes.
I'm TJ. I'm sorry that like I got so excited about that, but like he's not just fast. Like his perception is fast. So like when you're talking to somebody that's like talking really slowly, like that's what his life is like. And I just thought that's another really cool Robert Kirkman thing to do, is like take this thing and kind of expand it.
Yep.
Cool. Love it. And I actually really fucking like him. And of course this happens.
Yes.
Of course.
So he makes it up to her, saying that he hangs on every word that she says, and he gets called away for a Guardian's emergency. We got the Immortal scene, biplane, lined his suit with plutonium. When in doubt, throw him into space. Immortal gets called away. Aquarius being at the bottom of the ocean in his, Atlantis type city, bored, called away. Finally, some action. Then we've got War Woman. We see Holly and Connie walk out. Connie's happy for the business and says that you don't do enough for the world, and she says none of us do. Turns into War Woman, flies away.
I love that line. Just to say that, like, that was like a bitch please moment. It was like, don't you do enough for the world? Because she's like, and for her being such a big superhero to say none of us do was like perfect line.
Yeah,
perfect.
And I don't know who the voice of Connie is, but she did a really good job.
Somebody,
it sounded familiar. You think so? No, I'm sorry. No, War Woman. I'm talking about War Woman's girlfriend.
The girlfriend.
Gotcha.
So then we got Martian Man, little girl named Nikki, helping stretch him to his limit.
Another thing where you're like, oh, I can't wait to see what this is going to be about in 4 episodes.
Like, to not only show like this compassion of this alien species, the fact that they can morph into any form, and that they have this heart that doesn't move. Super important for the scene coming up. Like, that's brilliant. Then we got a photographer taking pictures of someone who looks a lot like they could be the Green Ghost, and it ends up being the photographer. She gets called away. She eats the jade stone. And then we've got Midnight City, which I love. They don't even show it from a distance. It's just purple, so there's 2 burglars. Darkwing stops them. He does throw out the line, I know what's in this building. And he says to tell me about your boss. Could just be a throwaway line, but I thought that was interesting.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's up until the minute that they die, it's making you think that there's going to be more story here.
So
like,
good.
because the Martian man, and he's with this
The
little
little girl.
homeless girl.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I can't wait to see like
They
what
even
kind
give
of
her a name,
relationship they're going to
Nikki.
go on. Yeah. Like, so awesome. Like, it's such a, like, pull the curtain out.
I can't
you
wait
know?
to see what people think. They have no idea what's coming.
Yeah.
I do like we talked about earlier, his gadgets, like hanging people up.
Dude, the handcuffs
magnets.
thing. Yeah.
So cool. Calling the wing jet and then flying to the base. All the Guardians of the Globe are standing around and they say, Darkwing, why'd you summon us? And they're like, oh my God, what's happening? And this moment,
Darkwing says I didn't.
yeah, this moment of everybody kind of panicking and Red Rush, like looking to the side, and you see his eyes, and he knows before anyone else because
His
higher
perception.
So smart. So he runs towards Immortal and pushes him out of the way just in time before the fist would have gone through his head.
The
Again,
directing of it too,
Yes.
like you kind of see Nolan, like Omni-Man coming in, but you don't really see his face or anything. You
Yeah.
see the punch, but you still don't see him. And then he does this cool like slide thing with his leg is out, and then he does that like back look,
dude,
which is perfect.
Red Rush. Red Rush's job during this entire thing, going around and saving everyone at the last minute from Nolan's punches, was fucking awesome.
And that's
it's
why
so awesome.
It's crazy because the first person Nolan went for was remove the head of Immortal, potentially the strongest one of them, potentially. But then as soon as he realized he's got to take out Red Rush, it's got to be Red Rush.
Yeah.
So smart. So smart.
Yeah, so good.
So he catches his hand, Red Rush's hand, after like some some other attempts.
Saving people, yeah.
Yeah, catches his hand and then
Grabs his head
and just pops it. And
Which
that's
was my first-
and that's the moment with the music building.
Before the popping, as his head was crushing, Red Rush was punching him in the
Yes.
chest over, like
His
super
hands
punching
breaking.
him, like
Yeah, his
it was
hand.
just
Yeah, his hands like
to
just
the
hitting
point
him
where
flat.
Omni-Man's suit just like ripped apart in his chest.
And he got bruised up too,
Yeah.
like bad.
Yeah. So the music builds to that moment. He breaks, crushes his skull, and everyone gasps. You see everyone's reaction, and then silence.
Silence. So awesome. Like, they don't do this enough in movies, and it's so effective when it's edited appropriately, because
Hearing
when
Darkwing's cape, like, and then
Yeah, dude.
him catching the leg, and slamming him, and then his
yeah.
He's
the best part. The best thing was War Woman's hammer going in the air and it making the wow 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 noise, and then him catching it and wailing Aquarius in the face. It was fucking perfect.
and then his
It was
body
so
sliding,
awesome.
Aquarius' body sliding up against Martian Man, and him looking up and then screaming. But we see after he kills Darkwing, he puts his hand through Green Ghost's head and then uses Green Ghost as a shield against Aquarius's water jets.
I love that.
And
That's
just
one of
the
my favorite
sound it
parts.
makes.
Yeah.
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 Oh, it's so
Yeah.
brutal. It's
Not
so
to mention
brutal.
too, like one thing we didn't bring up is this entire scene. There's no background music, and that
We haven't
adds
talked
so
about-
We already
much.
talked about
Did we
that.
I missed
Yeah.
that part. I was probably looking at my notes.
Yeah.
But that
For like 5 minutes we talked about it.
And how the
it was
sound
probably-
of Darkwing's cape and the sound of the War Woman's hammer or mace.
no, I was here for all that, but
Yeah.
I maybe I blacked
But that's
out. when
what
you
made
talked about
those
the
so
music.
good, was that's all
Yeah.
you hear.
Yeah.
But then it's Immortal looks at War Woman and says it must be mind control. He wouldn't do this, and she says, which she sounds amazing, by the way. I think it's Lauren Cohen. She says, well, it's either him or us. And Immortal says, I choose us. And Martian Man wraps around. Nolan rips that heart off. He punches a hole through Immortal's body, grabs War Woman's head, spins it around in one of the most gruesome of the deaths. For some reason, that one really hit me because she
it's
coughs
fast.
and she coughs up the blood afterwards. Ugh.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then it cuts back to Immortal, and he's saying, why would you do this? And Nolan just chops his head off, and it rolls away. Nolan falls to his knees and passes out right then and there on the scene of the crime, with all the bodies.
When it ended,
cuts to black.
When it ended, I was like, he wasn't in the comics.
He's still there.
Left. He wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a cool story element, and like true too. Like, that just goes to show how fucking powerful the Guardians were and what an actual threat they were. Because if they were an actual threat, or if they weren't a threat and he was able to just take them out instantly, why even bother? You know what I mean?
Like, this shows how important they were to the world.
Right.
So putting myself in the perspective of someone who hasn't read the comics, they did something that I thought was genius. And again, I'm going to be talking about, the future of the comic. This is kind of spoilery.
Was it that they did no music at all during that fight scene?
That was incredible. We already talked about that, though. We already talked about it. No, the fact that they said someone must be controlling his mind. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they said that as someone watching this without having read the comic or putting myself in that perspective, that mindset, that's what I'm thinking going forward. That's what I'm going to be thinking in episode 2, and all the way up leading to the big finale or whatever it's going to be, the big twist.
Yeah.
But that kind of puts it away to say that, like, maybe Nolan's not evil. Maybe there's just a supervillain that can control people's minds.
One question that I asked you guys, I think, after watching this episode, and this is something that was heavily debated among us, or at least discussed before this came out. Do you guys think that they gave us enough to feel for Nolan and Mark and their relationship, and believe in that relationship and believe in Nolan as a character before getting to this point?
Yes.
Because in the comics, you got 7 issues. Even though you might only have a couple scenes of Nolan.
It's definitely more. I think that they made Nolan a little bit more rounded out. Like, he's not just so great. You know what I mean? They gave him those little bits of, like, why is he freaking out on Debbie, and why is he freaking out on Mark? But I'm invested in who Nolan is at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, I would just from, like, him being the Superman figure, you're like, as someone who's never seen the comics, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he's supposed to be the good guy, you know?
Yeah. All right. Unless you guys got something else to say, I want to ask what your favorite scenes were. If you had to pick one scene, TJ, what was a standout scene for you?
Are we excluding the final scene?
Yeah, we're excluding the final scene because that's the best fucking scene.
All right.
I have a weird one. So the scene that I always come back to is the scene of, it got released on Invincible Friday a couple weeks ago, but just the scene of him on the couch and he's talking to his mom and dad. Don't make me get the spray bottle. like just hearing that dialogue that we don't get in the comics. Like, that's always the first thing I think of. Literally, I think of that before I think of the end scene. Yeah. When I think of the first episode, that's the first thing that I think of. I love that dynamic between, like, seeing that dynamic between the parents and seeing Mark just as a normal kid. Mm-hmm. I just liked that scene. I think that's probably my favorite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What about you, Bill?
I would have to say that I agree. I understand why, TJ, you would pick a scene like that, because that's one major aspect of the comic and the series itself is, like, the humor and the real life dialogue. But I fucking loved him on the rooftop yelling at Nolan to hit him, and that he was ready now, and, like, that was so, it's so Mark. It's so Mark and so perfect. Like, I eased myself into just adjusting myself to Stephen Young is now the Mark that I have to have in my head, and I'm super convinced. That's my favorite scene of the first episode.
Yeah. That's a close one for me because I do love that scene. I'm gonna have to go with the training day though. From the get-go and talking about how to fly, and like it's like you're a baby flyer, and peeing your pants on purpose, and right into the punch and him gasping for air, and like why, like that scene is just, it covers the range of this is this family that, you know, Kirkman talked about. It's a family drama, and seeing them in this scene and getting more, I feel like more out of their relationship than we even did in the comics before issue 7. And the humor, the acting, the intensity that in which it turns into. I loved that scene. So that'd be my pick. All right. So before we end episode 1 and go into episode 2, if we can take a minute and think about what we predicted, like what did we think was going to happen? And now obviously we're recording this after watching episode 1 and 2. I do remember after watching episode 1, well, I'll let you go first, TJ. You go first, TJ.
Well, I want to make a prediction, but part of talking about the prediction is also talking about something that happens in episode 2. So I don't know if I want to go into it yet, or we can go into the next segment, but
I see what you. I know what. If it's the one I'm thinking of, you can say it for the beginning of episode 2.
Yeah, I think you can do it. Yeah.
Or no.
So the three of. Oh, we're gonna save it. Oh, we'll save it. Okay.
I was just gonna say.
Prediction-wise, then, other than that, I don't know. Like we had talked about the Flaxons and possibly that being a thing, and I don't really know what, like, as far as predictions, we didn't really say. I don't remember really saying much.
I remember at this point being convinced that the end of episode 3 was going to be the fight that happens in episode or in issue 11. I remember, or is it, sorry, 12, but 11, 12. I thought it could have been either one. Maybe it was just the reveal and not the fight. And I was like, you know what? That's definitely happening at the end of episode 3. Jesus, because at the pace that they're going right now, the Guardians are dead. Like, next issue, something's going to happen. And then the end of episode 3 is going to be like, here we go. I was convinced at the end of episode 1 that was going to happen.
I was with you there too.
Yeah.
The predictions is something that we do. It's like 90% of what we do on the podcast when the comic was coming out and now that the show's coming out, right? Is giving you our predictions and stuff like that. And we made a prediction that something would happen, or wouldn't it be cool if this happened? And you'll have to find out if we were right or wrong in the episode 2 one. But this is the predictions for the first 3 episodes, or the first 3 recaps, are gonna be hard because
of course
we watched it all in one.
The first 2 at least.
Swoop.
Episode 3 we're gonna have predictions.
Right. After episode 3, we're gonna have another half hour of predictions.
But but we're gonna end this episode 1 thoughts. We're gonna go right into episode 2. But you know what? Say it. Leading right now into episode 2. What did you guys really want to see at the beginning of episode 2?
So one thing that we talked about in between episodes, because we tried to take like 5 minutes in between each episode, and I said, because Ryan, you said, what are some predictions for episode 2? And you were like, oh, I think that, maybe Ryan, you said maybe the Flaxons, maybe it ends with this. Bill, you said a few things. We talked about like maybe like Damian Darkblood, and I said, I hope that it starts with Steve. And at first you guys were like, no. And then you were like, we started like actually talking about it, and we were like, yeah, that makes like perfect sense. And it literally, we pressed play, Steve on the screen. It was perfect.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk more about that when we record episode 2. We're recording these in pieces so we don't get burnt out. So we're going to stop here for now, but you're going to hear us in 2 seconds.
That was you in the blue and the yellow. Why don't you meet the team after school?
May we count on you in the future?
Yeah, I think so. And bored of this.
And we're back. It's been so long.
It
missed
has.
you. We are here to react and give you our thoughts on episode 2, entitled Here Goes Nothing, coming in at 44 minutes and 12 seconds. What was the first episode again?
That's a good question.
How long was that?
That's a good question.
Wow.
I think it was it 40, 45? Let me pull it up.
Wow. Unreal.
I know.
That's all right. We should all be experts at this now.
Well, I didn't have my notes up because you're doing episode
we're
2.
reviewing episode
47:15. 47:15. So,
all right, so
a good chunk less time in this one.
So we're coming in around 45 minutes.
So it took us what, nearly an hour to talk about episode 1. So this one should be like half hour, right? It's a shorter episode.
Yeah, we'll see. So what were your guys' initial thoughts of episode 2? Here Goes Nothing.
Go ahead, Ryan. You can go first.
This episode
we agreed. We were gonna go in rotation, right? So you gotta go first. Got to keep the motion going.
So I should go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that it was great. I thought that it was ridiculously funny. It was our first ever interaction with the team, and that was kind of an out of body experience. I thought it was great. I thought it was a very, out of the three, I think that it might be my favorite entire whole episode.
Mm-hmm. If you would have told me that in one episode we would get an introduction to the team, 3 attacks by the Flaxon Dimension, the introduction of Alan, and more, like introduction of Cecil, like the introduction of the GDA and the investigation into the murders, and the there was so much in this episode. But I remember after as time passes, I look back on this episode and I'm like, I don't think that it was crowded. It felt right. And that just goes to show, these hour-long episodes, you're in it, and a lot can happen, and it doesn't feel rushed. It was great. It was great. What do you think, TJ?
Yeah, I mean, for me, hands down, this was my favorite of the 3 episodes that were released, and it was just, it was hilarious from beginning to end. It was so funny.
This one definitely had the humor.
Yeah, it definitely had the most humor out of the 3. I mean, Team was great. All the action, all the fighting. They kind of got to show off their powers a bit, show how powerful they are. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of dynamic between Mark and Eve, which we'll go over. But it was so good.
Yep.
So much humor. So good.
All right.
Should we dive into a recap?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So episode 2 opens up with Steve,
I cannot believe it, man. You guys lost your mind. We didn't really. I didn't think this would happen. You guys said it, and I was like, all right, that would be cool if he showed up at the beginning of every episode. And the minute we hit play, we had to restart the episode.
Yeah, we were laughing so hard.
We were actually a little let down by because he didn't show up again. Spoilers.
We'll get to that.
And
episode 3.
Yeah.
And we meet Matt. We meet the estranged son-in-law or stepson.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they're in London at Buckingham Palace, and Steve is talking to Matt, his stepson, about the perception of power, and why does the Buckingham Palace need to be so big? They don't even use all those rooms. And he's like, it's not about that. It's about it shows that we're the little people and we're just their subjects, and they're the rulers, which I thought was a really cool concept, cool idea. So
I don't know if now's the time to interject, but I don't know if they list all actors at the end, regardless of whether or not they appear in the episode. I don't think that's the case, but Max Burkholder is listed at the end of this episode. So I don't know who he was, but I think he might have been Matt.
Who's Max Burkholder?
He's an actor. TJ, what's he in? Do you know?
So many questions that we just don't know.
You'd know him if you saw him. Well, isn't he in Dune coming up?
Oh, he's the main character, the young kid?
Yeah.
Not the young kid,
Isn't that him? Huh. Or am I very wrong? I'm going to look it up. TJ, you keep going.
The main character of Dune? He's not Timothée Chalamet.
That's who I'm thinking of. I'm mixing him up.
It's definitely not Timothée Chalamet.
I'm mixing him up. Oh,
Timothée Chalamet is mid-20s.
All right, so I got the two mixed up. Move on. This is not who I thought it was.
Anyways, this was the character that was rumored to be, Oliver, who we won't say who that is.
The temp name.
That's later on. But yeah, obviously, it's not.
Yeah,
so,
and he wasn't. I mean, he was in the Purge, Daddy Daycare, The Omen, Parenthood. Yeah, that's all. So yeah, moving on.
So they're at Buckingham Palace. A garbage bag flies out of the sky and almost hits the two of them, or almost hits Steve. Matt yells, "Dad!" Runs over and tackles him out of the way of the garbage bag. They look down and there's just red all over them, and it looks like blood. But then he picks up a BM Burger Mart carton, and he's like, "I didn't even know that they had Burger Marts in London." And he looks up at his dad, and his dad's like looking all sentimental and look like he's about to cry. And he's like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "That was the first time you've ever called me Dad."
Yeah.
Aww.
They embrace.
Okay.
So I like the touch of. At first, it was like, man, it's a lot of ketchup in that garbage bag. But you see an actual ketchup container on the ground. So like kudos to the animators to be like, how are we going to get so much ketchup in this to make it actually look right?
They wanted
Wait, Bill. Ryan, why?
Why what?
Why are you like, I thought it was weird that there was so much ketchup.
No, not at all. I legitimately was watching it, and I'm like, oh, look at that. There's a ketchup container. Well, that must be why there's so much ketchup.
They wanted it to be misdirection. They wanted it to look like something and blood and stuff like that. Yeah. So, can we just talk about my prediction? I'm going to go all in.
We're like 2 minutes into an hour-long episode.
Yeah, I'm making a fucking prediction right now. I'm going on the record by saying I think that Matt is D.A. Sinclair. And I think that something terrible is going to happen to Steve, and that is going to motivate him to start doing his Reaniman project. I'm going to go on the record and say it because
there's a couple reasons why I think you're wrong. Can I start with the most obvious?
I don't think that you should. I don't think that you should. Hard
then
pass.
Let's leave it.
No. Go ahead. What do you think? Go ahead.
We know who's voicing D.A. Sinclair, and it's not them. That's not him.
Okay.
That's
All right.
I accept
then
that.
We head to the scene where the last episode left off. The Guardians of the Globe are dead on the ground. Omni-Man is still laying there, passed out. Cecil arrives with his team of medics and operatives. They put a metal clamp on Immortal's neck that like clamps down where his head used to be because he was decapitated. And then they do the same thing with his head. When they do it to his neck, his body like comes alive and he's like punching them and then like passes out again. Yeah. So there's something to that.
They do say when they clamp it on there, they're like, sometimes it affects the spinal bubble or something.
No, they said they say I'm starting the micro resuscitation or something like that.
That's when they put the head on. Yeah.
Okay, onto that little pedestal.
Yeah. Because I half expected him to wake up.
I did too, right then and there.
Right there, yeah. Which would have been not good.
He would have been like, it was him.
Yeah, exactly. Right there.
So all the other Guardians are dead. They are examining Nolan or Omni-Man, and they're seeing that he's still alive. So they take him away. Next we see Debbie at the house.
Before you get to that section, I'm so sorry.
This is going to be a 2-hour-long segment.
Sorry that we're trying. There's just so much to talk about. This is what we waited for.
This is why we're here, right? Yeah. You don't have to watch it all in one
And
sitting.
again, we're getting these initial things because we're getting introduced to so many things here. I liked the Invisible GDC people. Like their cloaking technology, that's new. That's not from the comics. Do you guys think that is a replacement for the White Room?
No.
The White Room's going to be
not even close.
Because there's a scene in this trailer or in this episode where Mark goes into the hospital and there's no one around and all of a sudden they appear. That felt very White Room to me. So why can't he just go into a room with, issue 50? I'm not going to say anymore.
So as a substitution, I guess it would be like the same thing. But the thing about the White Room is that it's very disorientating completely because you can't see anything other than white.
Yeah.
In this scenario, Ryan, you see your surroundings. You just can't see who's in the room.
True.
But to your point, is that something that they can just kind of veto out of the show?
I don't know. That's just what it made me think of. But yeah,
right. I hope not, because especially, if we were talking about the White Room before we saw this, before the animated series, and we were talking about the White Room animated versus live action, I'd be like, and it's built for animation.
I know. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. That would actually work pretty well.
How do they explain the White Room in the comic? Isn't it something to do with that person's perception or something like that? Or there's a frequency or something?
I'm pretty sure.
I think it's something like frequency.
The government, it's in your water. Didn't they say something that it's in your water?
That sounds familiar.
So that you can't see that sound wave or that audio or visual wave or whatever.
I think that's a really cool thing and shows how manipulative Cecil and the government is, as opposed to just giving all these things camo.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Move on, TJ.
I like this next scene because we get Debbie at the house. She wakes up in bed. Nolan's not in bed next to her. We see her get out of bed. She goes down. She's got coffee. She's reading the newspaper. Then she's taking a shower. And then she's, it shows her getting ready. And I feel like it's just it's just helping to build her character more, which I like that they're building her character more than they did in the comic. They're making her,
It shows that she's used to not always having Nolan there, but she still seems really sad by it.
Well, I mean, in this next scene, Mark comes down and she says, I'm a little nervous because he didn't come home last night. And Mark's like, it's normal. Whatever. Don't worry about it. It's normal.
Yeah.
And sure enough, there's a knock at the door. Debbie answers the door, and there's the operatives from the government saying, they have bad news. Then Donald is escorting. Oh, Koba's got a little.
Oh yeah, he's groaning.
Operatives Donald is walking Debbie and Mark through the facility, the government facility, showing them all the cool text that they have. They're saying that, Nolan's in good hands. We're going to take care of him. We have the top of the art, people working on him. And
I like Debbie snapping at him a little bit. We're not here for the tour, Donald. And you see that there's this relationship that Debbie knows who they are and they know who Debbie is.
Do you guys like Donald? Do you like his design? Do you like his voice? What are your initial reactions?
We haven't got enough of him for me to really form an opinion. I don't know.
I think he's exactly what he needs to be. Just really kind of cold, kind of standoffish.
I don't know if I really have an opinion of Donald from the comic.
I think Donald is supposed to be. I mean, I don't know if it was in the one-offs that we read where you learn about his marriage and stuff like that, but he's supposed to be cold and kind of very stoic and monotone.
But he's also kind of comedic at times, and
because
I feel
of his
but
because of his monotone nature.
But he's also very sympathetic. We get later in the episode.
And I think he does it.
In the episode, I think they're giving him a little bit more in the show for sure than the comic in terms of his actual personality. He's not as cold and calculated as I remember him being. But I like him. I do like him.
So they're let in to see Nolan. Cecil comes in and explains that
you're just gonna skip over the title screen.
What?
Because this is the splash page.
Okay, talk about it. Go for it.
So the first time that he's like, look out because and then it pops up Invincible, and it was at the end of the episode, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Episode 1. Yep. And the music was very Superman. It was very upbeat. Yeah. And this one is in the beginning, and there's blood that's spattered on it, and the music is not great. It's not.
I think it's very the same
upbeat
tone, the same notes, but a little more somber. And there's the of blood.
Of blood. Yep.
But you missed the coolest part about it. Just like the first episode, it popped up in the middle of a sentence to complete a sentence. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe someday we'll be able to get to work with Invincible.
Right.
Which I think is cool.
Just cool how they're changing it. I love that the title screen is
a part of the show.
Not set in stone.
Yeah.
It's a part of the show. Yeah, I love it. I thought it was great. So cool. Go on, TJ.
Are you sure? Can I continue?
Yeah. Now I can continue. You can interrupt me when I do the episode 3 recap, and I'll make sure that I leave the title screen out.
Okay. So they're let in to see Nolan. Cecil comes in and explains that they don't know who did this to Nolan, but whoever did also murdered the Guardians. And it could have been anyone because, they have so many villains. Who doesn't want Omni-Man killed? Who doesn't want the Guardians, not out there, so they can just do whatever they want.
I will say the first time we heard Cecil, I was like, there's a lot, not quite as gruff and older sounding as I expected. It sounds like a much younger, southern kind of, Cecil.
Yeah.
And after watching it several times, now when I'm watching it, it just sounds like Cecil to me. So I think that one's kind of nestled into its place. I'm not sure if I'll hear that voice when I read the comic. We'll see. But so far...
I wonder about that, though, because the more I'm watching the show, I feel like when I go back, eventually it's going to change.
Yeah?
Eventually, when I read Alan, I feel like eventually it's just going to be Seth Rogen.
Yeah. So no, go ahead. Yeah. No, I mean, so Cecil is going to be a tough one for people to. I think he's going to be the first one that people are like, I don't know. But to your point, Ryan, we watched it so many times that it fits now.
Yeah.
but I wasn't sold on it. He didn't act the same way. I think he's a little bit angrier in the show than to begin with.
What do you mean, like suspicious?
No, like Cecil always seems like he's kind of under control. Like his emotions never really get the best of him in the beginning of the comic.
And I feel like in the comic, when things really bad things happen, he's more of a shit.
Yeah,
like crap.
He's
in
control.
He's like,
but I feel like he has more emotion in this.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. He's less in control of his emotions than the Cecil that we know in the comic book, which is just different, and we just have to get used to it. But it's growing.
I actually kind of like it.
Yeah,
especially like the end of this episode, which we'll get to
someday.
So, Debbie is saying she's not leaving. She's not going to leave Nolan. And, Cecil seems kind of like, I don't know. And then Donald's like, of course, Debbie, we'll get you everything you need. So I thought that was kind of like sympathetic of Donald.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then Donald tells Cecil as they're walking out, there's an attack happening downtown. And there's no superheroes, right? So Mark gives his dad like a look and then walks out. Then now Mark, or Invincible in his invincible suit, is flying downtown. He flies and sees a huge army of aliens, green aliens coming out of a big portal.
I can hear the music. Like you describe it, it's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I don't have my phone on me. That's why I'm like, I feel naked. My phone's in my room, but I have the name of that song and I don't remember it. I wasn't
going to bring it up to the end, but it was.
Well, because it ends up becoming the theme of the.
That's why I was going to bring it up at the end.
The Flaxons, yeah.
You see,
it's called Tom Tom by Holy Fuck.
Yes,
which is awesome, and you subtly hear it in the background of each Flaxon fight, and then at the big end, it's.
Yeah, so you see it plays at the beginning of the first one, the middle of the second one, and then at the end of the third one.
Right.
Yeah,
that's so cool. It's like their theme song. I love that.
Yeah. I lost my place.
So there's an invasion happening. We see the portals open up and all the Flaxons coming through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Mark flies in and immediately gets blasted with like a laser beam. They all have like guns, very advanced technology. He sees an older woman about to get shot or hurt. So he flies down there. He grabs like this like boulder thing and smashes one of the Flaxons in the face, which was awesome. He grabs the old woman and starts flying away. Then he gets hit again and starts tumbling to the ground and looks down, and the old woman's arms are like wrapped, like every bone in her body is pretty much broken. Yeah. And I gasped at this moment. Shit.
I have thoughts. So.
Before he even goes to save the woman, he's like, he like yells at the Flaxons like, "Don't hurt them" or something, and they get blasted, and he gets sprayed with blood. And then we have this moment of Mark looking down at the blood on his hands and everything like that, and there's that moment of like, oh, shit's real. Like he's never been in that situation before.
This is not my comic. This is not what I see on TV. This is an unedited version of and that's what Invincible is. Like Invincible is an unedited version of what would happen if this superhuman guy punched this other thing in the face. Like what would it be? And this whole episode's theme is Mark is not ready. Like he had completely altered expectations of what this. Hey, stop! Don't harm those people.
Yeah,
and then
that's what he
does. In front of him, and he's like, "Oh my fucking god!" Like I thought it was so good what they did.
I remember you actually like laughed at that moment because it's so jarring, this campiness that he's like, no, don't hurt them, and then it's just vaporized and he's just
I don't know if the tone was supposed to be humorous, but it was like, so first these people got obliterated in front of him, and then Eve came down and was like, save that woman or whatever, right? Isn't that when she comes down and was like, get out of here? Oh no, it was after he crashed with her and she was like, take her to a hospital. Mm-hmm. So then he tries to do right and he fucks up again. And he's the reason why this woman is just destroyed. And I did laugh. Like I thought it was supposed to be.
Well, because Ryan and I both were like, holy shit. And Bill's like,
well, because he does that,
bitch.
and the reveal that she's so injured, it's Mark going, oh crap, oh, and it's just like
he can't do right. It's like those people get obliterated in front of him, and he tries to be heroic, and then he tries to save somebody, and she ends up fucking getting.
It's a morbid
demolished.
comedy of errors.
Yes.
The leader of the Flaxons says one phrase in each of the 3 fights. He says, Monax Mooey. In all 3 fights.
I noticed
Monax Mooey.
I noticed him saying Monax Mooey. He says that 3 times?
He says it once in each fight.
Huh.
Monax Mooey.
Yeah. Monax?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Just going to leave that there. And the listeners out there can pick that up if they want to, or just leave it sit there.
So he's sitting there with this woman, and then
we get our first look at the teen team. So we start with Adam Eve, who flies in and saves Mark from getting blasted again. The rest follow behind her. We get Duplicate, we get Robot, and Rexplode. Like you said, Bill, Eve tells him, go get her to safety, and he's like, looks up at her and he's like, you're Adam Eve, and she's like, what? Get out of here, like, go.
And then he's gone.
Mark's such a loser in this scene. He's a fish out of water. He does not belong there.
I like this scene too because like Robot's like, Eve, do this, and make sure you do this, and she's like, yeah, okay, and then she's like, Robot, there's some behind you, and he's like, I see that, I'm not blind, and he's
eyes
like,
too.
And then he's like, Duplicate, and Duplicate's just whooping ass, and he's like, keep doing what you are doing, and it just like goes on. I thought that was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Zachary Quinto was fucking perfect.
I mean, everybody's voices are great. I mean, the visuals, the way they fight, I like Adam Eve's, what she's doing. She's like creating a spear and throwing it. At the minute she tells Mark to go fly away, she's suffocating 2 Flaxons with the bubbles around their heads. Like, and there's
Duplicate getting like she's cloning herself and she's duplicating, but all of her copies are just getting destroyed. Like
that happens later, but yes.
Doesn't it happen here too, or no? No, not yet. Okay.
Right now is she's actually just kicking ass. She's duplicating and yeah.
So the teen team is, this is kind of their opportunity in the show to like show what they can do, show their powers, and show how powerful they are. Like even Eve like gives like this huge blast, but they start to get overwhelmed. The Flaxons start beating them, and it's not looking good. Like they're about to like get beat, like they're about to die. And all of a sudden the Flaxons start deteriorating and dying. Mm-hmm. We don't know why. And then the remaining army of the Flaxons retreat back into their portal, and the portal closes and they're gone.
Yep.
Then we see Mark at the hospital. He runs in and he has the woman, the old woman, in his arms. Like Ryan said earlier, he touched on the fact that there's nobody in the waiting room except for I think maybe a nurse.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they all just appear because they were all invisible. And they take the old woman to treat her. Mm-hmm. Then we get a scene where Mark is at the bedside of Nolan and he's crying because he's like, I tried and I can't. Basically, he can't live up to Nolan.
Mm-hmm. There is a scene that I'm not going to say what it is, but much later in the comics where it's very reminiscent of this trail of blood and then Mark kneeling down like this, kind of bloody. And it always sticks out to me because when he has his mask off, especially from the back, he's just all black and blue. And it looks very much like a scene in the comics. And it I don't know, that scene just really stood out to me. And then
are you talking about issue like 100, 101?
No, I think
okay.
we'll talk about it afterwards, but that's okay. Close.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. What you're talking about.
Yeah.
So now we're at school, and Mark seems disconnected.
Well,
he's looking down.
Debbie coming in and comforting him was really, really good because Mark's like, it wasn't like what Dad. It's not like it wasn't what I thought it was or something. It's a lot harder than Dad makes it look, or he says something along those lines.
I think that's later on.
Isn't he? I mean, he's just sitting there bloody at Nolan's bedside. and then it ends. I'm pretty sure Debbie comes in and comforts him.
No, I think that's later on.
Okay. So is he okay?
So they're at school. Mark seems disconnected. Obviously his dad's in the hospital, and he talks to William for a bit and tells him, like, you know, my dad got attacked, like, in a fight. Obviously William doesn't know that, you know, who his dad is, who he is. He's like, holy crap, like, you know, he gives his condolences and everything. Then Mark sees Eve and like suddenly realizes, oh shit, like that's Adam Eve, like never realized it before. He goes over and talks to her and he's like, thanks for helping me out yesterday. I'm invincible. And they like kind of laugh at his name and say it's kind of optimistic to call himself invincible.
That's one of my favorite lines from her. It's kind of optimistic, if you ask me, or something like that. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's a little optimistic.
But they talk about how he's like, she says, like, you're having a hard time with this, aren't you? And he's like, yeah. So she's like, let's go talk. So outside now, Eve kind of gives Mark a pep talk about how difficult the job is to be a hero, to be like a superhero, and how it's not how it looks on TV. Eve makes mention about, he's like, yeah, I follow, you guys are the teen team. I follow you guys on Instagram. And she's like, yeah, we're everybody's fourth favorite, you know, superhero team. And Mark says, yeah, you guys are, I mean, at least you're better than Fight Force.
Fight Force.
Is Fight Force Capes?
I think Fight Force is Seance Dog. It's, I think, a renaming of Capes.
Yeah,
Capes,
so.
or wasn't there another one, the Actioneers, or was that more?
Yeah,
Wolfman?
Actioneers, but that was Wolfman. I mean,
yeah,
same kind of thing, but
right.
Fight Force was kind of the joke, you know,
right.
the butt of several jokes.
So before they go up on the roof, Eve says, or maybe it's while on the roof of the school, Eve says something along the lines of, if it's psychology, if you're not looking for a superhero in your class, you're not going to see a superhero in your school. And Ryan, do you think that is taking the place of
I hope not.
People never look up?
I hope not. But I remember that scene ended and I was like, huh, they didn't do it. You know what I mean? Like they're literally sitting up there on top of the school, and Mark could have said something like, huh, aren't people going to see us up here? I mean, like, or maybe fly away and they say it. I was a little surprised they didn't use that opportunity.
But it's the same
kind of concept. So now I feel like they won't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that quote from the comics so much. I'm a little disappointed it wasn't used there, but we'll see.
But
Show's not over yet.
I really also like what she said.
Yeah,
and I like how if they do change it, if they never say it, that'll be sad. Yeah. But I like how she talked about it a little bit differently. Yeah. You know. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, TJ. Where are we at?
So that scene ends with Eve inviting Mark to meet the teen team, and he's like, I don't know, they're only Instagram's fourth favorite team.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Rex.
Yeah, it's coming.
The shit that he says.
We've got so much more to go, guys.
Next scene, we get Cecil and Robot are assessing the damage downtown from the Flaxon fight. And, Robot is trying to come up with different theories of why they deteriorated. But then they examine like one of the Flaxon's tanks, and it's completely corroded and rusted. And he's like, well, that narrows it down. Like their time works faster for them here, slower for us. So all of a sudden they were just aging rapidly and then ended up dying.
Yeah.
Cecil after that goes back to the scene of the Guardians, right?
Which Cecil's teleporting and not using his teleportation door.
His door. Yeah.
Just another little.
It's not a door, but it's a teleporter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the door. It's so stupid. It's such a stupid thing to get hung up on, but it doesn't fucking matter. It's the same thing.
I know. I think they didn't. I don't know. Part of me thinks that they didn't want to have another wall that you can walk through. You know what I mean? In the same episode, like the Flaxons go in and out of this doorway.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like a portal. Don't confuse portals. Then you got Angstrom with his portals. Like, don't confuse portals and the way Cecil moves around. But that's just me trying to headcanon why they did it.
Yeah. Actually, one thing I forgot to mention in that last scene where they're with Cecil and Robot, it ends with Cecil saying like, "What do you think about this Invincible kid?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Oh, he's he was okay, but he's just not ready for
the realities,
superhero stuff." Yeah. And Cecil goes, he's going to have to learn quick because we're going to need him." And then Robot goes, "Why is that?" And then Cecil just walks away.
Because it's not common knowledge that the Guardians are dead yet. Yeah.
So then we get Cecil at the scene of the Guardians, murder scene, and he's like, "Tell me some good news," but they don't have any good news, and he gets pissed off. He gets angry, and he's like, "I told you to give me some good news," and then you see cold breath come from his mouth, and he's like, "Everybody out!" And he's like, "Come on out, Damien." Damien Darkblood appears, and he's like, "I wasn't hiding." And he's there on the ground.
The visual techniques, the gimmicks that they use, this is something that can only be done in animation or in live action or whatever, just having a moving camera and everything like that. The way he reappears just doesn't make sense. And the breath and the cold and everything like that around Damien, such a cool concept, and they're doing really neat things with him.
I don't think he called him Damien. I think he called him Demon. I think he called him Demon.
No, I think he says Damien Darkblood, Demon Detective.
Really?
Yeah. After he's revealed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he touches the blood and sees. So Damien Darkblood is a demon detective. He has this power where when he touches blood or touches something, he can see. Oliver's going nuts. He can see like what happened without seeing what happened. He can see.
It's almost like he senses what happened to it.
Right. He can see
but not why it happened or who did it.
It showed a flash of he touched like the blood of I don't know one of the Guardians.
Red Rush. All
Rush.
of them. He did a couple.
It did it with a couple of them. But let's say Red Rush, and then it shows his head getting crushed. But the person doing it is all like blacked out. He can't see who it is. Yeah. Which I think that's a really cool way to do that.
It's cool, but it's a little weird. Like, if he was able to see that or sense what happened, wouldn't he be able to do it through the perception of the person who's dying, who was looking directly at Nolan at the time?
The way I take it is that he's touching a piece of brain, and he could tell that this piece of brain was smashed suddenly. He's not seeing what we're seeing. He's not seeing Red Rush in his form and then get smushed by a shadowy figure. Like, he just knows that it was destroyed.
That's pretty assumptive, I think, with what he's sensing and what we're like. If that's the case, they could have done a better job of like showing that he's not actually seeing this. He's just kind of sensing what happened.
Yeah.
Like they could have done like a black background and then just like a head crushing, you know what I mean? Something along those lines. I thought that was a little weird. I don't necessarily. I mean,
where it brings him to at the end of this episode, maybe it is that obvious, because by the end of this episode, he has a conclusion.
He had a conclusion by the beginning of the episode. Pretty much. But right here, he pretty much said if the shoe fits, like.
Yeah. All right.
So Nolan was the last one standing. Yeah. Go ahead, TJ.
Okay. So he can't see. Obviously, you can't see who it is. Then we get Amber and Mark at the school talking. Amber thanks Mark for sticking up for her against Todd in the first episode. They joke with each other a little bit, but then Mark ends up cutting the conversation short, and then Amber sees Mark go off with Eve, and she looks jealous. Mark and Eve, they fly off. In their costumes, like Invincible and Adam Eve. And they're flying off to the music of, it's called Might Not Make It Home by LPX. Really good song. I've been listening to the song a lot.
And so all the flying animation. Well, all the animation is just really cool in this scene. The way Eve flies, like creating things that she could, slide off of and everything like that. The way she loses Mark easily.
She's to try to keep up.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Isn't that crazy to think about that Eve is faster and better than Mark?
Yeah,
at this point.
And then it got to the point where she was like, because he flew through a Burger Mart billboard, and then she like went back and she's like, all right, like take it slow, and she was like helping him. Fly, which is great. Funny.
So cool.
I also love the sound of her powers, like the staticky kind of electrical. I love it. I love the sound of it. Why? You don't?
No, I just, for some reason, I thought you didn't, but maybe you were just making note of it. Because when we first watched it, I remember you talking about the sound of them, and I couldn't remember whether you liked it or not.
I love it.
But no, I like it too. I think it's cool. It's just like, it just sounds like energy. You know what I mean? Like there's something tactile that's happening. It can't just be like,
Right.
So they arrive at the teen team headquarters, and they kind of fly down, and first thing that happens is, Eve goes up to Rex and they start like kissing hello to show that.
Like really making out. The noises
like that. So, but yeah, just to show that they are dating, and Mark's like, oh shit, well, I guess that's that. The rest of the teen team introduce themselves. I like how Duplicate introduces herself, and there's like 3 of her, and he's like, so which one do I look at?
Yeah.
I talk to you.
That was really funny.
Rex gives Mark a hard time about the Flaxen fight.
He makes fun of him a little bit.
Yeah, kind of gives him a hard time about that, and Robot introduces himself. They talk about, the Flaxens, and how, what happened was, that they're aging, basically. That's why they.
And he made a device.
That's why they won the fight.
Yeah, and he made a device.
He made notes how time, like how they could be a threat still, how they could come back, didn't he? Yeah,
and he made this device like an alarm that would go off if the Flaxons were to ever come back. And then Robot says, like, if we were to need you in the future, would you help us? And Mark was like, really, me? Yeah, I'd help you. Of course I'd help you.
Mm-hmm.
Next, Ryan, we had a scene where Mark is again at the bedside of Nolan, and then Debbie comes in, and she's acting like everything's normal, and she's like, I think she said something about dinner, like, I got you this. Did you get it? And
that is a different scene than what I'm thinking, but it's Mark's sitting there, and she's like, oh, I didn't even think about you. I've been so worried about your dad. How are you doing? Yeah,
I'm not sure what scene you were thinking of.
Like him just covered in blood, the older lady's blood, and him at his dad's bedside with his head down, and then Debbie comes up, and it's like super quick. He just says, it's not what I thought it would be.
Okay,
that's it.
But yeah, she says, I've been so busy with everything else, I didn't think about how you must be feeling. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he says, he didn't tell me that it was like this, and now I can't talk to him. And she said, you can always talk to me. We'll talk to each other.
Yeah.
So that was a good scene. So next, real quick, Rex Blode is coming out of a room, and he sees the alarm going off, and he's like, is this supposed to be doing this?
Upon rewatching, he says, is this supposed to be doing this? And then a woman's voice from the other room goes, what?
Was it?
And he walks out shirtless, drinking out of a carton, and just kind of
looking relaxed.
And we know Eve is at the school right now.
So Duplicate, right?
Yeah.
Presumably.
I didn't catch that the first or second time, I don't think. So you can just faintly hear someone. He's talking to someone.
Yeah.
I don't remember hearing somebody there.
So that wasn't the first time.
So back at the school, William is trying to convince Mark to ask out Eve. Like, everybody saw you leave with her yesterday, and he's like, oh, they did? Eve gets a text, like they're on the opposite sides of the cafeteria, and Eve gets a text message and looks down at her phone, and then looks up at Mark from across the cafeteria and kind of gives him like a head nudge, like, we got to go. Mm-hmm. So Mark makes an excuse and gets up and walks and leaves. Then Amber comes over and talks to William and says, is Amber and Mark dating? And he's like, no, I wish. Oh, wait, what? No, look, no, he's totally single. And he's like, do you want her number or want his number?
Yeah.
Really quick. Sorry. Little bit of a segue. I'm skimming through the episode. Ryan is right. She follows the trail. Debbie follows the trail of blood into the room and comes behind Mark and like talks to him and gives him a hug. So that did happen.
When you said it, I do remember that.
Yeah.
So Mark and Eve Invincible and Adam Eve, because they're in costume, are flying downtown to meet the rest of the team, and they fly on top of the building, and Rex is there to greet them and says, "Oh, you guys came together, huh?" And she goes, "Yeah, we go to the same school." And he goes, "Oh, you do?
Oh my God."
And she's
so
like,
fucking funny.
She's like, well, I never got to go to high school. And she's like, yeah, it shows.
Yeah,
like
we know Rex.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a little backstory there that we don't know. I mean, we know, but others.
I thought we were going to get some of it.
I know. We really thought
I liked that we didn't. I liked that we didn't.
Me and Ryan, I think maybe it was the two, like we thought like the tone was going to shift and it was going to be like
a
him
flashback,
starting to talk like this happened, and then they were gonna like interrupt him or something like that. She's gonna
interrupt, be like, "Yes, we know Rex," and it just cuts away.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see that the Flaxons have returned. The team sees that Robot talks about how they've discovered a way to get around the whole aging issue, and Rex is like, in 3 days, and Robot's like, well, in their time, it's been decades. Mm-hmm. So they've had a lot of time to prepare for this fight.
Mm-hmm. So when does the second Flaxon attack happen, like in the comics? Isn't it still relatively quick? Or no? Comparatively, like, I mean,
I don't know offhand. It's after the events of issue 12.
11, 12, yeah.
So Kirkman stated...
yeah. And we talked about on the interview that you guys will have heard by now.
That he's going to, like, things are going to change. Like, that you're going to have entire arcs that, like, in one episode. And if this is just the first example of that happening, fucking cool, man.
Right?
Like,
this was handled so
much
well.
More sense. Yeah,
we're not going to get 144-ish episodes of this show. Tell us what we need to know in a way that makes sense and is good. This was perfect.
The pacing was one
complete story.
Yeah. The pacing was great. I think that some people could be like, the Flaxons again, like, fuck, you know what I mean? Like,
I think they would think that more if they came back halfway through the season and then at the end of this season, like,
I think
really?
That
you wasted 3 episodes on the Flaxons?
I think that feels a little bit. It doesn't have to be 3 episodes. It can be like the Flaxons first being such a huge threat were like 5 minutes. Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, I think it could have easily worked either way, but I like that it was all one episode.
I do too, but I feel like some people might think that it was a little bit of a redundancy, like them coming back and then back again. But I thought it was great. I thought it was an awesome way to fucking edit it and make it. Yeah.
So the team flies into the fight. And again, just like the first fight, they're kind of showing their powers. They're doing really well until they're not doing very well, and they start to get taken over. They notice that the Flaxons' weaponry is all much more advanced than the first time
and tailored to combat their specific abilities, which is cool.
Right. So the team starts to get taken over. They put this device over Eve's face, and you can tell that she can't breathe, and she's about to die.
Robot Invincible is like fried with some, robot electronic device that's shortening him out. Duplicate. This is when Duplicate is just getting messed up. They're shooting her quicker than she can clone.
Yeah, she said they're killing me faster than I can. Like, and she's like doing backflips and stuff, and they're like, I was scared. Yeah. Like this was the first moment where I was actually like, oh fuck, like this is scary.
Yeah.
For someone like her.
Yeah, and they start to get overtaken. When Mark sees that Eve is about to die, he like flips out and he like throws, what is that, like a tank or a truck off him?
They used some goo to glue him to the tank or something.
Yeah.
So he was stuck down, and then his rage kicked in.
And he goes on like a spree of just fucking everybody up.
He beats up the commander again, who's back, the guy with the scar that he originally hit with the brick.
Yeah.
And then he, runs over to Adam Eve, takes it off her, and kind of saves her.
Do you guys think that, like, hopefully it's just as simple as this, but so Mark went like, no, and he went like that, and he busted this tank off. But there was a shockwave that went through the entire crowd and knocked some of them over with. Do you think?
I don't believe that he has some kind of power that was never mentioned.
I think that was just to show strength. Like, he just got a burst of strength, and he Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if Omni-Man, like, I just watched Batman vs Superman. When Superman takes off into the sky, there's like that, shockwave.
Yeah,
I think that
get
was just a shockwave of him, busting loose.
Mm-hmm. Busting loose.
But yes, I do.
Yeah.
I was wondering whether or not either of you bring it up, because there is that moment where you're like,
It's a little weird, and then Rex is like, hey, don't aim that at me, but he just meant his rage.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean? But it still felt
it's a little,
yeah.
One of the Flaxons that got hit by the truck that Invincible like threw into the air, his wristband starts screwing up, and Robot is analyzing it. Like, what you can see it like in through his helmet, like his data, and the Flaxon starts to age and deteriorate. Mm-hmm. Robot tells everybody it's the wristbands, like destroy the wristbands. They do that. Robot actually, like, one of them starts taking over him, and he's like, don't touch me, and he sends out this like shockwave that destroys all of their wristbands, which I thought was really cool. And then again, the remaining Flaxons retreat back into the portal.
Yeah, the sound of that, the way it just like he like whoa, and it like went out was. I thought
it was cool that he needed just a second, like to kind of get it under control. Yeah. However, I think Robot saying destroy the bracelets is stupid because you could just as easily, maybe if not easier, punch somebody in the face to incapacitate them or kill them, as opposed to trying to aim for this little thing on their wrist that makes them age. Like, unless you're gonna do it all at once, like he didn't
it seems
kind of pointless to
didn't
destroy.
Even Rex say all of them? Like, that's kind of dumb. And Rex is, he says things like that everybody else is like, that doesn't make sense. You don't just, so to Rex, it's like, oh yeah, we have to destroy the bracelets. And he's not thinking like a person who'd be like, do you realize? But to him, it's a shockwave, destroy the bracelets. Yeah. So I think there's that, but I agree that could be kind of silly sounding.
Right.
So yeah.
All right. Rex talks to Mark about how he liked how Mark kind of lost his temper, and he's like, oh, you kind of went crazy there for a second. I like that. And then Mark was like, I don't really know what came over me. Mark flies off to go see his dad. And I like Rex was like, oh, don't worry. We'll handle all the cleanup. Asshole.
Yeah.
Up at him. I thought it was funny.
He goes off because he got the message to go to the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To see his dad. So Mark gets back to the hospital and sees that Nolan has woken up, and they have like a good conversation. He's like, oh, I hear you've been keeping the world safe for me. And he's like, yeah, like they share like a, heartfelt conversation. Mm-hmm. Mark goes to check on the older woman that he had saved earlier, but she had passed away. So Mark expresses like disappointment, but we don't even get like a moment for Mark to like share his disappointment. We just see it on his face, and Nolan comes in and he's like, that's the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then a really weird scene.
Yeah. Like Nolan talks to the receptionist and he goes, I want my suit back. It's government property. It's mine. Now go get it.
Now. And it's like,
oh shit. All right, chill, dude. Like, I got it right here for you, bro. Like, chill.
Yeah, he went a little hard on that.
Art made it. It's not like it's like from Viltrum or anything like that. It's just it was kind of a weird moment to your guys' point. Yeah.
So now, real quick, we get like a little blurb on the news screen saying like, where are the Guardians? Like nobody's seen the Guardians, so still not public knowledge. Mark and Nolan are training in the sky, kind of fighting each other, and Nolan's like, try to hit me, and Mark keeps trying to hit him, keeps failing, but then kind of lands like an unexpected punch. And Mark laughs.
Well, because Nolan says you have to punch me where I'm going to be. Yeah, where I'm going to be, not where I am.
Right. Yeah. Which was also an Oblivion song that that idea was in. So, anyways, so Mark does exactly that. He takes his advice and ends up landing a punch, and you could tell that it kind of like hurt Nolan, not like bad or anything, but you could tell like it bugged him. And then he was like, and then Mark kind of laughed it off, like, haha, thanks for the advice. And then Nolan's like, well, you got to be able to take a punch too, and like runs at him, and you could tell he was like about to like beat the shit out of him.
It was about to be some
like a Viltrumite punch.
OG Viltrum, like, you know, let's see who's stronger and comes out on top kind of moment. I could see it unraveling that
Turned
way.
into a very comedic beat though, with Debbie saying Nolan,
it was
and,
really
and
funny.
it stops.
Nolan.
Yeah, it was good.
And he like stops like midway, like, yeah, it was perfect. And Cecil's there, and Cecil is telling them now in the house, he's saying, you know, that alien is back. He's in our atmosphere. I need you to go take care of this. And Nolan's like, yeah, I'll handle it. And then Debbie's like, no, you just got out of the hospital. You need to like take it easy. And Mark's like, oh, I'll do it. And she's like, no, like, you're too new at this, you know. And Nolan's like, listen, I fought this guy before. He's not a big deal. Just knock him around a couple times and he'll go away. So
how do I breathe in space? That's the funny thing. You don't.
Yeah.
The thing is, you don't. I like that.
So Mark flies into space and it gets attacked by the alien, who is a Cyclops. He only has one eye. The alien, who we know as Alan, the alien, is communicating to Mark through his mind. He's like, how are you communicating to me in my...
No, he's like, how do I hear you? Why do I hear you in my head?
Right. He's like, that's where your brain is, isn't it?
Where else do you keep your brain?
Yeah. So they fight back and forth. Kind of one lands a hit, the other lands a hit. I like how Alan grabs him from behind, and then he headbutts him and hits him in his eye. And he's like, my eye, like, because he's only got one eye.
The way this plays out, and a lot of the dialogue is just like shot for shot, word for word from the comics.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Something happens to Mark here where he gets punched by Alan and falls back into the orbit or back into Earth's atmospheres and takes a deep breath finally, because you're like, oh yeah, he's not breathing this entire time, and then goes back out, which is very reminiscent to something that happens much, much later on in the comic, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's cool.
I loved that little,
and the sound design
part
of this scene was really cool too. Everything has
I love
that echoey, empty sound.
I love when shows and movies do like space sound right, where it sounds like you're holding your head, you're holding your ears, and you can't hear, like you're underwater.
Yeah,
it was great.
So it ends with Alan kind of getting the better of Mark and like pummeling him on the moon. And Mark is like, stop. Like, can't we just talk? And he's like, oh, he stops. And he's like, are you trying to use your time out? And Mark's like, wait, what? I get a timeout? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, don't you know the rules? He's like, I don't even know who you are. And he's like, oh. And this shot was so funny. Like him, like Alan, very like no sound at all. Alan taking a rock and putting it down, taking a small rock, putting it down, and then like with his foot sliding it over to Mark. So funny.
Have a seat.
So he explains who he is. He's an evaluation officer from the Coalition of Planets. Your planet signed up for the program. He's like, I like that too, because it was funny, because he's like, Mark is like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Your planet signed up for the program. And he's like,
it's right here.
Like, it's right here. And he shows the data on his track on whatever it is, and it says Urath, URATH.
Yeah.
And he's like,
oh my gosh,
Urath, this is Earth.
And like the way it like cuts is so good.
It shows literally, like, I almost wanted to stop the episode, because you guys, like, no, I couldn't stop laughing, because his Alan's eyeball, how it like just like slowly looked down, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Another thing that made this funny too was like, if you read the comic, he's like, you know, this isn't Earth. Like, he wasn't like noticeably like pissed off, but in this he was like, this is Earth, and he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like that. I felt like that made
it's Stephen Yeun and Mark, like, they get to really, he plays with like Mark's comedic timing and his delivery, and I think that he does a really good job of it. The whole thing is funny. Mark is as funny as Alan in this entire part.
I mean, Seth Rogen did great. I mean, his voice was perfect for this.
The two voices that I was worried about the most was Rexplode and Seth Rogen, and I'm totally satisfied with both of them. They're perfect.
Yeah,
and we talked about it too, how like Seth Rogen, when he's just being Seth Rogen and not being like a stoner or like, overly crazy, like he's got a normal voice and he fits Alan's demeanor perfectly in this.
Yep. So then we get the classic shot of Earth, right? Or I'm sorry, Alan says like, I'm probably going to be in a lot of trouble. It was nice meeting you. And then he flies off. Then we get the classic shot of Earth, Mark looking at Earth from the moon.
I hope new audience members really take this like, oh, wow, this is far reaching. This is a lot bigger than just this planet. Like, what's the coalition? I wonder what that is. I hope
this guy, this evaluation officer.
Yeah, like I hope people really take this not just as like a one little shot thing, but they dig into it like we would, reading.
In the same episode, we see aliens and other, coming from other planets and all this kind of stuff. But we also see Flaxon, which are beings from another dimension, or the way they travel in different time and other superheroes with different powers. Like, it's a lot. This episode has a lot in it.
Yeah.
So next, Cecil and Nolan talk about the Guardians, and Cecil's like, or it opens up back on Earth. Cecil's still at the house, and Nolan's like, "Listen, I already told you everything." Cecil's like, "Tell me again." Nolan's like, "I got a distress call from the Guardians. When I showed up, the lights went out, and I fought someone in the dark, but I didn't see who." And you could tell that Cecil's like, "Must have been pretty powerful if they could beat somebody like you. I haven't seen you get."
Lose
beat
like that.
Yeah, like ever. Yeah. Then back at school, Todd comes up and slams Mark into the locker room. The more I watch this, because we've seen it a bunch, right?
This scene's really funny too.
The more I like Todd.
Yeah.
I really like Todd. Like, he's like, slams him up against the locker, and he's like, "I'm sorry for beating you up, okay?" And it's like, what? He's like, "I'm sorry for beating you up," and he starts talking about Amber, and he's like,
"Do you want Amber Bennett's number?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, "Do you want her number, nerd?" Yeah. So he's like, Amber's making me do this because she found some embarrassing pictures of me.
Yeah.
He doesn't say what it is, but yeah. So he gives Mark Amber's number. So the Flaxons are back again. And again, it starts with him saying, "Monax Mui."
Yeah.
Again.
Man.
Fucking amazing.
And now their lasers, instead of like just going through people, they disintegrate people.
Yeah.
Like, it's showing progression in this. And this leader is in like this gigantic mech suit, and it starts with a guy running and then getting stomped on and squished. Yeah, so sick.
We get the teen team showing up on the bike on Robot's.
I like how it's just a close up of Robot's face, and he goes, "I have bad news," and then it pans out and Rex blows behind him, and he goes,
he just pops out.
"Oh,
Robot's got bad news.
Robot's got bad news, everybody. Did you hear that? Hey, Robot, what's the bad news?"
He's such a dick. They did such a good job.
That might be my favorite moment of the episode.
Yeah. Good thing Jason Mantzoukas. I mean, come on. It's got to be. He knows this character. He really does.
It is a really funny. It's like Edgar Wright would love this shot because it uses the scene and like what's happening to make the joke, right?
Like even the way Duplicate pops out, like
they both do. So Robot's in the frame, and then you see Rex pop up this way and do the whole thing, and then Duplicate pops up that way. It's really fun. It's not just like a generically shot like thing. It's super fun the way they did it. I'm going
to suggest a nuclear option.
No,
we can't. We're not going to nuke the city.
Yeah, he's saying that because they're so advanced. Like, Robot says, we can't win this fight.
Yeah.
And again, we get a call to Fight Force, where he's like, Adam Eve's like, we're not gonna just give up. We don't do that. And then Duplicate's like, yeah, what are we, Fight Force? So again, kind of a callback to that. So they go in, and just like Robot said, this time they instantly get taken over. It's not even close.
Yeah.
And Invincible is getting, like, they're all getting beaten, but Invincible specifically is just getting pummeled by the leader, and he's about to die. There's blood everywhere. And then Omni-Man comes in and saves him at the last second. And he just starts ripping them apart. They're shooting guns at him. It's not even phasing him. And he just starts destroying everybody. Again, the Flaxons all retreat back into the portal, and the leader is like right outside the portal, and then Omni-Man looks at him and just flies right towards him and tackles him right into the portal and disappears into the portal with him.
Oh man!
As Mark goes, Dad.
Yeah.
And then Rexplode's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Omni-Man's your
father?
I love that because I didn't even question it. I didn't catch the fact that he just yelled Dad because you're in the moment. You're like, yeah, that's what he would say. And then and then you see everybody's face and they all look at him. That was so to go from that comedic beat to then just red. Yeah.
There is a very obvious little seed planted here where the leader is pummeling Mark, punching him in the face over and over and over again. And then he gets punched in his face once, punched in his face twice, and then Mark turns his head and there's a close-up of his ear, and then he punches him in the side of his head and in his ear, and then it shows what he sees, and he's like super disoriented, like he can't focus, he can't see anything. Do you guys?
Yeah, maybe.
Obviously.
I could see that. I could see it going either way. I mean, anyone that gets punched on the side of their head could lose.
But it was a close-up of his ear.
Really? I need to rewatch.
Watch the scene again because it's his face and he's getting punched, and then it's his side, and then it's his ear is like the whole frame, and then he gets slammed in his ear, and then the next thing you see is what Mark sees, and it's like he can't focus.
All right. So go ahead, TJ.
Back at home, Mark tells Debbie about what happened, and that Nolan went into the portal and disappeared, and she's like, yeah, whatever. He's like, you don't care about it? She's like, listen, like this is, I was concerned before because he never came home.
Because he was never beaten up that bad. That's what she says. Well, I was worried before because I've never seen him hurt so badly.
But she said because he didn't come home, because she was concerned before the operatives even showed up at her door, her getting ready in the morning. And then they had a discussion between her and Mark. So, but she's like, other dimensions. Yeah. It's just a normal Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. So,
I'm sure your father's explaining to them nicely why they should leave us alone.
And then Tom by Holy Fuck starts.
Boom, 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 boom.
Something like that. Those are the actual lyrics.
Do you remember what he actually says? He says something like,
he said, I have it right here. He says,
does he say Monax Mooey?
No.
You don't seem to understand that Earth is not yours to conquer.
Yeah.
The red tint of the whole scene,
and you see the whole army there,
fucking up the entire Flaxen planet, just destroying.
Oh God! Can we
killing all of them?
Are you going to talk about how fucking awesome the lighting is?
The lighting, the visuals, and everything about that.
Tint.
Yeah,
but there's like the scene where he's flying through the building, and I don't want to show anything on here, but it's literally black. There's no color. It's black and then white, like to show the outlines and stuff like that. It is sick. It is so awesome
that. There's a shot of, it shows like the city, and you just see it like from really high up, and there's like it almost looks like a blimp or something up in the sky, but it shows the whole city, and down on the city you can see all the explosions of him fucking everything up, and then the blimp just explodes just to show like how fast Omni-Man is. He's just destroying everybody.
And then he has a beard, and he's holding up this mountain above the scientists that he's forcing to open the portal.
So this is not like a 15-minute thing that he did. He spent months destroying.
No, time works differently there. He's aging quickly.
No.
He ages quickly there. For us, it's faster
he does
there.
not. No.
Oh, maybe right.
No.
He
lived. He did in the comic, and that's how the Flaxen dimension works, dude.
Yeah, I think even in the comic he says that he was there for
3 months.
Time. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yep. Which I think is why. I mean, why are the guys
his body process, like his body slows down or whatever, or like it doesn't. He's not. Yeah, he was there for 3 months.
Yes. Time works.
It's weird to think about. It hurts my head.
No, it's exactly how we think about it. So why else? Like, he's destroying everything, and then everything's destroyed, and then the next scene is him holding up the mountain, right? Mm-hmm. And the Flaxens are feverishly working to open up a portal for Nolan, almost like they're like, all right, we're doing what you wanted us to do. Like, it's very quick. I feel like this could have been done better because, TJ, obviously you were a little confused too. But I mean, I was too, but then I'm like, no, he was there for
But it's not
a while.
important enough. I think that it's better to just be like, oh shit, he has a beard. Wait, we know that they age quickly in our dimension. So like he must have, like just leave it.
But
don't
time
over-explain it.
But time doesn't work. He was there for that long. He was there for that. He was there for 3 months. But then when he comes back, it was only a day.
It's like it's like Interstellar. You're right.
Yeah. Like, so they could have done a better job showing time and how it works. TJ?
Shall we continue? So Nolan arrives back home and he's still got the beard and everything. And, Mark was a little concerned this time. So he runs up and gives him a hug. Glad he's back. Then news breaks on the TV. The Guardians of the Globe are dead.
Yep.
And end credits.
If you listen carefully before that, though, you hear them talking about a teacher who turned his students into bombs.
Yeah.
Such a cool little Easter egg.
Yeah.
That we did not catch the first time.
Which was the start of the Invincible comic.
Yep.
So, after credit scene, we get Damian Darkblood talking to Cecil about a theory that he has. He's like, listen, I've gone over this, I've investigated, and there was nobody else at the scene.
It has to be someone in there.
It had to have been one of them, and only one of them survived. So
yeah.
And it pissed Cecil off. Like we said earlier, he flipped out, and he's like, I don't want to hear any more of your idiotic theories, and I better not hear you say any of these theories to anybody else, or I'll send you back to hell where you came from. Like, he was fucking pissed, which I thought was great. But then in turn, he turns to Donald and he says, put a surveillance team on the Graysons. And Donald's like, why? And he goes, oh, just because whoever killed the guy. Okay, Oliver, chill. I'm getting to it. He says, put a surveillance team on the Graysons just because whoever did kill the Guardians may want to finish the job.
Yep.
So but you don't think that, right? Obviously you think that he
Cecil
wants
is
to
suspicious
of Nolan.
So yeah.
And that's how it ends.
Bill, what was your favorite scene of this episode?
One scene?
If you had to pick one scene, like if you're going to go back and watch one scene right now, what would it be?
It would be Nolan flying through the Flaxen dimension, destroying everything, only because it was like super awesome, like what they did with the coloring and how they did like freeze frame shots of like it slowing down and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's like in my opinion, that's the coolest scene that I would just like go and watch really quick. But
yeah. If I had to, I mean, it's pretty much between two, but that was the one I was going to say. I love that scene, not only because the visuals like you just talked about, but because it's like, hey, here's a thing that we know happened in the comic, but we didn't see. And it was done in such a cool way, but still perfectly, like him calling out Dad, him coming back and saying, I need a shower, him having a beard with a little bit of white in it. Like it made the comic purist in me super happy, but also got to show me something new I didn't know, and was also just badass. TJ?
Yeah. Mine would be Alan. The Alan scene, just his voice actually working out. Like I was surprised at how well it worked. And there's just so much comedy in that scene.
And
it's
then
just
ending
so
with the Earth, like that. That scene is so good.
Yeah. So
it was fucking episode 2, man. Such a good fucking episode.
I will say, such a good episode. I'm not ready to say that was my favorite of the 3, but I think my favorite scene out of all 3 is in episode 3.
I would agree with you.
We'll have to save that.
Picking a favorite scene of all 3 is fucking tough, because there's a scene in 3
I know
that I just fucking love.
I wonder if it's all the same scene. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it soon.
We don't know. We're not going to talk about it.
So what did we think after watching this episode? Prediction wise, I mean, I thought after seeing this, I was like, nope, we're not going to get to issue 11, issue 12 stuff for a while. I changed my mind after seeing episode 2 and seeing the pace that they were going.
Yeah, seeing how they can fit, how they can extend, how they can take things from the comic that happened really far out and then put it into one, but then also spend a lot of time. And one thing made me feel completely different about, which is interesting because the first episode made me think, oh fuck, they're gonna speed through this shit fast. And then the second episode made me feel that I like pushed the brakes super hard and was like, oh fuck, we're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it still went really fast because it's like, hey, look at how much, like we talked about at the beginning of this segment here.
Yeah,
they packed so much into this one episode that was shorter than episode 1.
That's why it's hard to talk about the pacing. Like, they did more, but they still spent a lot of time on other things. It's just interesting. They did such a good job. Such a hard thing to do, and they fucking did it in the second episode.
Yep.
I did say, because Ryan, you and I were talking back and forth, like after it ended, we were trying to make predictions, and we agreed, it's not going to end with issue 11 or 11 and 12. We're like, well, what else could we see? And I said Doc Seismic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Was I right? Stay tuned.
We'll have to see in just a few seconds.
Here we go.
I wasn't ready before. Now I am.
Okay. Hello? Guys? Are we here? Okay. Oh, hey.
Oh.
All right.
Ryan and I were just talking shit about you.
Oh, gotcha. All right. So
episode
we're back.
3.
Episode 3. Here we are. Instantaneous.
Somewhat instantaneous.
Gosh.
Ollie hair on my microphone.
Oh, Ollie.
All right. So before we begin the episode 3 recap, I just like to show my notes that I took for the episode that are all handwritten.
So, Bill, what did you say to us when we talked about how difficult and how long our notes were when we did episodes 1 and 2?
So TJ showed us his after we did the episode 2 recap, and he was like, "Look at all that I have." Yeah.
Mine are similar to TJ's.
And I was like, "Bro, that's so much. Like, why do we need to do that?" And then as I was on page 5 of mine, I'm like,
you were like, "I'm not going to do that much. I'm not going to do that much.
I'm going to catch so much shit for having all this stuff." But it's easier to do talking points. You know what I mean?
Bill, the thing that you should be catching shit for is not writing as much as you did. It's the fact that you wrote with pen and paper like you were in the fucking 40s. Did it have a feather on the end of the pen?
He kept having to go back for ink.
Dip it in ink. Yeah, I had to dip it in ink. It was a fountain
like
pen.
Harry Potter.
All right, everybody's been listening for well over 2 hours at this point. Let's do this.
They just want to.
All right, so episode 3.
Sick of hearing our voices.
And episode 3 is called, if I'm not incorrect, Who You Calling Ugly?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Is that right?
And so
what was it clocking in
time?
at? Did anybody get the time?
I did, because I knew we were going to bring this up. I wrote them down. So episode 1, 47:15. Episode 2, 44:12. Episode 3, 42:08. So a whole 5 minutes less than episode 1.
Wow. Which is understandable considering what we got at the end of episode 1. But so let's do round robin. Let's figure out what were your quick, thoughts of episode 3.
Oh, man. I feel like this is going to be the most difficult one to get my thoughts on, not only because of what happens in it, but because it's the one I've watched the least. It has my favorite scene out of all 3 episodes, but it also has a couple interstitials that feel the most random. But we're also at the point now in the series where storylines have moved far enough along that it just feels like we're just watching that drama that Robert Kirkman said that he wanted to go for, this family drama. And so it's weird because it feels like we're in it at this point, which is why when we get to a scene a good ways towards the end, it's like, this feels a little, not tacked on, but it felt a little out of place. But overall, really liked it. I don't know if it'd be my least favorite. It might be, but again, like I said, it has a couple really incredible scenes. Not only one, not just my favorite scene, but also a few other really good scenes.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
what about you, TJ?
So first off, I will say that it is by far, out of the 3, the best usage of music.
Yeah.
Like actual, not just like background music, but I mean like of actual songs and stuff. Like, so good. And like there's multiple moments, but probably not one you're thinking. I'm thinking
there's
of,
3.
We'll get
it's
to
crazy.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, there's that. more humor that kind of continued from.
Dude.
The humor was so good.
I'd almost say the humor was better in 3 than it was in 2.
I would not say that I would never ever say that.
Remember that you're saying this, TJ. Remember that you're saying this because I agree with Ryan.
But think of 2. We don't have to go back. We just went over 2. But like, dude, like Alan and his eye and the rocks and Rexplode and
got it. Yep.
Okay. I think it's my second favorite out of the 3, and I know it's blasphemy to say that one is my least favorite. Doesn't mean it was bad. It was what it was up until the end, and that's what it needed to be because that's how the comics are. You know what I mean? But I love 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm. So I will say that but when everyone talks about Invincible, and I've said this a million times, nobody talks about the first trade. Like it's hard to get through. And that's kind of like where episode 1 falls, but it's still really good. I would agree with you, TJ. I would agree that episode 3, especially after watching it again to get these notes and actually doing a deep dive, Ryan, I think that you'll understand scenes that happen and they'll make more sense once we do this. Mm-hmm. And it'll feel less random. Yeah. But I think to your point, Ryan, that it felt like they got their groove on. They don't have to make Mark so much Mark. You know what I mean? They don't have to make Nolan so Nolan-y. They don't have to make Rex so Rexy. Like because that's introduction. Like, here I am, I'm Rex, and then this is just like I'm an established character in this universe. I don't have to be so over the top and crazy. I don't have to be in your face. Like the jokes land better because they feel kind of more natural. And
I will say that I do. Go ahead. I'm sorry. So you were done.
No, that's it. I'm done.
I do think that Rex was very Rex in this episode, and I would almost argue,
better.
But I would almost argue also that Nolan may not have been so harsh as he was in 2, but he had his moments in this for sure.
Subtly though, subtly that it didn't have to be so obvious, you know. We'll get to it.
Like what you were saying, Bill. I agree that this one felt a little bit more natural and it felt more in its place. Like everybody, it wasn't introductions. It wasn't like we were hindered by introductions, which is a lot of episode 1 and episode 2. This one really had much focused a lot less on that and just let people breathe a little bit. But like I said, there was still a little bit of a randomness to it for me. But again, maybe talking it out. Let's see.
Okay, here we go.
Before we dig in, can I just be the first one to to say this on the Invincible podcast? Unless we say it in the intro and I beat you to it. Wow, that'd be fucked up if you did that because we haven't recorded that yet. Because this wasn't news at the time, but Invincible is being voiced by Academy Award nominee fucking Stephen Yeun. Dude. That's big. That's huge. So cool. And I watched Minari and it was
I was going to see if you guys wanted to do a Amazon watch thing where we all watch at the same time because I'm really excited to watch it. I just haven't had a chance to.
Is it very subtitled? It looks very 90% subtitled.
No, most of it is in English.
Yeah.
Really? The trailer is all subtitles, which doesn't bother me. Pan's Labyrinth is one of my favorite movies of all time, so it wouldn't bother me, but it just caught me off guard.
Yeah, just wanted to call that out.
You really liked it though, TJ?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Do you think he stands a chance?
Yes.
Dude, that'd be so cool. Can you imagine?
That's great.
Can you imagine?
That's great. And then he's gonna retire from Invincible season 2.
He's also the first Asian American to ever be nominated for Best Actor.
Yes.
That's fucking huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. What were you saying, Bill? That I feel like he's more welcome being an Academy Award winner on this cast than less welcome. With the likes of J.K. Simmons and
J.K. Simmons is Academy Award winner.
That's what I mean. And Titan, Mahershala Ali, Sandra Oh. Does Sandra Oh have a? She probably does. If not,
I don't think so. No. But anywho, are we ready to start our episode 3 recap?
Yes, we are.
I think the listeners are screaming at us to start it.
Okay, here we go. Let us begin. So first and foremost, cold open as always. No Steve.
No Steve. Shocking for us. We expected a little bit of a clip of Steve every single time.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to make a prediction that we're not going to see him again until the season finale. Season finale will open with Steve.
I'm going to go one step beyond and say
beyond
episode 7, not the season finale.
I'm going to go 3 steps beyond and say that we are going to see him probably in the next episode.
Oh.
Episode 4.
Episode 4. Episode 4 or 5. I think it's going to be a pretty reoccurring theme.
Okay.
So we get the funeral service that we saw in the comic book, kind of. Nolan gives his speech. He flies in with jets, which is pretty cool. But his speech is kind of like optimistic. You know what I mean? Like he talks about all the characters and you know how he's done so much stuff with them and how they were all great. But then he was very much talking about the future and looking for the future.
The next generation of heroes,
which I thought was interesting.
When
him kind of like planting the seed, like, hey, the Viltrumites, you know.
Well, it's like, hey, when you need a hero, it's me. So just remember that it's me. That when you need something, look up. Yeah.
This guy here. This guy right here with this going on. So a deviation from the comics, which I thought made so much sense. An excellent addition to the show, an excellent change, a second funeral where the graves were where the bodies were actually buried. And Eve, I think, made mention that, you know, grave robbers and people who want, you know.
The first one was just for show.
The first one was just for show. And we get a really awesome scene. The writing was fantastic with Olga, who is Red Rush's wife or girlfriend, saying he's finally standing still. And I still can't see him.
Yeah, they won't even let me see him.
Yeah. It was fantastic. So, and at the end of that scene, we get more Damien Darkblood.
Mm-hmm. I do like the little added detail that the family of Aquarius don't need umbrellas. Just gonna. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Interesting. So after she says that and after they go over, we get the intro screen. Invincible, we get even more blood, and the music is very somber.
So we get the same blood splatter that was there, but it's now added to it. So it's just adding on blood. And it is the same like 6-tone intro, but like the first time it happens, like kind of thing. This one, the same notes, but really somber. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very cool. So anyways, more Damien Darkblood. This is where he actually talks to Nolan and he says, only survivor, he says some stuff like that. And he's like, are you insinuating something? And Damien Darkblood says, I'm sorry, human communication kind of like, I don't really quite understand it. The nuances of human communication, I don't understand. And then because we get more.
He's accusing him of being the one to kill the Guardians
without saying so much. Exactly. Right. He's kind of questioning him without saying so much. So what's interesting, and I'm curious as to what you guys think, Damien Darkblood's character was in the comic book supposed to be very much like Rorschach. Like he trench coat, hat, his face looked kind of like Rorschach. Herm. He's kind of a joke in the comic. Like he's a running gag. Like by the time he solves it, everyone's like, yeah, we already know, bro. He shows up in Wolfman, same thing. He's kind of like a joke.
But in the animated series, they keep bringing up backstory that they're not giving us. They keep referencing his past and where he came from.
We get something really cool this
and
episode.
Retribution and redemption. We're gonna get a lot of story with Damien, I think.
Do you guys think? Yeah, and this was going to be one of my hot takes, and I want to talk a little bit about it. Do you think that he's going to be just taken more seriously, added as a serious character throughout in the show, and going to be developed as someone cool like from hell, and you find out more about him, or do you think it's going to be the same as the comic, just more funny because they're really trying to develop him as a serious character?
No, I think it's going to be the first one because Kirkman did say in a past interview that he always intended to do more with Damien in the comics, and I think that he's using the animated series as an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So just
I'm all for, by the way. I think that's really cool. If we get that, if we get that side story that Kirkman never got to tell in the comics, where Mark and the team go to hell or something like that to do something, give me that episode. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah, he did say something about that.
That's what's
what it's setting up for.
That is. You're right. Very cool. Also at the funeral, Cecil ran into Robot and said, you might be circuits and stuff like that. But again, making mention to the fact that he is just a robot. And, other than that, he's nothing more, just a hollow shell. But he wants them to create a new team, and he wants them to run the new Guardians and answer directly to Cecil. So that's where we leave the funeral. We go home. Mark and Debbie are all very upset. No one walks in and is like, let's get pizza.
Doesn't care.
And he doesn't care at all.
I could be to Naples and back before the cheese stops bubbling. I love that line for some reason. It's so cool.
So Mark snaps, at Debbie and saying, why don't you bring William over? And Mark's like, how should we, so what? We can buy comics. And Nolan's like, whoa, bro, you need to leave work at work and home at home. He's like, this is your first time with this. You need to separate it. Which makes his insensitivity a little bit more like understanding in that aspect. We kind of know why he's, but at the same time, and that's why they're doing this, a hero should never have that mindset. It should stay with you. That's what makes like that. Okay, so that's literally what makes Batman is because he lives with it and he feeds into it like all the time. Like he's always feeling that. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like makes a good hero is that they can't let shit like that go. That's what motivates them to constantly go out there.
Nolan is trying to encourage the Viltrumite way in this.
Right.
In his Viltrumite way. And Mark has his humanity. And so that's what makes Mark that kind of hero and what makes Nolan that kind of hero. And that's what's cool about it. And we get this again in another scene. And that's all playing towards where the season is headed.
We're dancing around spoilers here. We're being very kind of
but we know where we're going.
We're gonna spoil the first
we're gonna
20 issues.
And it's relevant. You know what I mean?
I think it's hilarious when I hear you rustling through your pages. Just want to call that out.
You can hear him. Also worth mentioning, Donald set up across the street monitoring Mark and the family, as Cecil had made mention in the last episode.
Yep.
To kind of make sure that whoever did it doesn't come back, but we know why. We know why he's there. So we get a funny scene. Mark's up in his bedroom and he calls Amber, and this is Zazie Beetz. It's her time to shine. It's her scene. She is so fucking funny. Her and Mark have really fun banter back and forth. Go ahead, TJ. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I know I brought this up at episode 2, but after rewatching episode 3 more, like preparing for this, like I would date the shit out of Amber. Like she's coming, like even just to be a friend. Like she's so cool. Like I just want to hang out with her.
Yeah.
She's becoming one of my favorite characters of the animated show, and she wasn't in the series. I never really cared for her in the series. She's becoming one of my favorite characters in the show.
We did talk about that a lot. We talked about how Amber's being fleshed out, and the love triangle is going to be way harder to kind of find out or figure out who you want.
Knowing where that relationship with Amber and Mark goes and the things that they deal with is going to be really fascinating with this Amber.
Yeah.
Because this Amber isn't... The Amber in the comics is a little more aloof. This Amber isn't. So how is she...
opposite.
Exactly. So how is she...
She's going to call him on his shit.
Yes. Which is really exciting.
Yeah.
When spoiler season here, when Amber finds out who Mark is, it's going to be interesting how her relationship changes with him. And I don't think that she's just going to disappear, though, because she does disappear in the comic book. She goes away, and then we see her in one issue, and then that's kind of it. You know what I mean? I feel like do you think she's going to...
I think a similar thing will happen. Yeah.
I think a similar thing will happen, but she's going to be, pissed off. Or, you can already tell,
I don't want to get too far past issue 20, because we're dancing around that, but
she is very headstrong, and she's very in her ways, and I feel like... Now I'm getting really deep, but I feel like it's going to come down to the point where she's like, that I'm like this, and what it took for me to really put myself out there, because I'm not that way, and this ended up happening, and it's gonna break her.
Do you think that Amber would be a character that Robert Kirkman would decide to kill in the show? I think that her character could be even more relevant if something like that did happen.
No, I can't.
I don't think
no.
No,
I just don't see a point to it. Just to
I do. I think that it could motivate Mark in a certain way. I think that it could
I think the way that their relationship goes in the comics is a better story than her dying. That's why. I can see where you're coming from, Bill, where that could cause what that could lead to, especially with this version of Mark that we're getting. But I really want to see the discussions and the conversations that happen with, similar to what happened in the comic with this Amber.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, I do like this scene. I like the humor in it. The way she, fucks with Mark saying that and he like sits back down and then he stands back up again. Like the animation and the way they timed out the humor was really good.
It is very good. So they decide to have a study date, and she's going to come over and they're going to talk about school stuff. The next scene, we get a very infamous scene from the comic book, Eve flying into the Teen Team headquarters and walking in on Rexplode and Duplicate. So go ahead, Ryan. Do you have thoughts?
Not yet. I will later.
I liked Eve's reaction because in the comic book it's just like it's a face, and she's just like, oh my god.
Well, she falls to the ground saying, "Oh god, oh god, oh god."
Right. Yeah.
You don't actually see what
you don't
what
see
happened.
anything. Yeah, you don't see anything. Here you get her being like, "You piece of shit," like calling Rex a piece of shit. Him running out and saying that oh, I thought you were with Mark or whatever. An interesting little addition.
I do have more to say on this. I will talk about it later.
Okay. The next scene, we get Mark at the tryouts talking to Robot, and Robot's like, why are you even here if you won't try out? And he's like, how could I miss this?
And he said, like, I talked to my dad about it, and he doesn't, he wants to train me himself. And even in episode 2, he mentions that, I know you don't like teams. He's never been a member of the Guardians.
So here's a prime example of what makes this so funny, because they're having this conversation and Mark is just like, is that Fight Force? Why are they even here?
Oh my God, it's so funny because he's like Robot's saying like so-and-so's here, so-and-so's here. And Mark's like, oh yeah. Hey, is that Fight Force? Why are they even here? Like the way
and then right back into the conversation that they had. So it's not like the comedy had to be like waiting for a laugh track to happen, which is how it almost is in the first 2 episodes.
This one is just super like subtle and just so smart. It was just yeah.
So TJ, the tryouts start and it's Robot talking, and we got the ladies and gentlemen, and we got
ladies and gentlemen.
Gentlemen. Yep.
Do you have the list of songs, TJ, or do you want me to pull it up?
What's the song, TJ? I know that you know it.
It's called Rocket Fuel.
By
DJ Shadow and De La Soul.
Yes. Then go ahead, Bill.
The tone of this scene was fucking perfect.
It was.
And whoever chose this song for this scene, like, good for you. Good
just
for
literally
you.
as it's like subtly coming in, like na like,
and you see Adam Eve like warming up, and the one guy like
perfect.
flexing.
It was fucking perfect.
Yeah, it's great, and we got perfect. and it's a really cool edited and put together scene, because the entire time you have Rex doing a monologue over it, like what it takes to be a new Guardian, and what
they're looking for.
Yeah, what are attributes of a good hero? It's not just being the strongest, but it's also about having heart.
Yeah,
and
we see Black Samson fighting. We see Shrinking Ray, and I love the way she shrinks like a little bit, and then a little, like
changing her and it's a girl.
Yeah,
it's a girl.
Yep.
Yeah. We get Black Samson. So Rex begins to introduce after they do a little fight. Interestingly enough, if you guys look in the background, there is a character that looks just like Haley Joel Osment.
Yes.
I fucking caught that shit.
And he's got
I told us to pause.
It looks just fucking like him. It looks just like him.
Yeah.
And if you listen to our Kirkman episode, I think I asked him, didn't I? Or was that afterwards?
You might have asked him afterwards.
I think it was afterwards,
he did confirm.
Well, he didn't confirm.
Like, I mean, maybe there's
he did not confirm. He said it looks like him, but
in his no, he was like, oh, there might be a character that may have been inspired by Haley Joel Osment. I don't know.
Yeah, something along that. It's a typical Kirkman fashion.
100% him though.
So we get Rex introducing the new Guardians, and he's like, and Monster Girl, and Rex interrupts him.
It's oh my God, it's Shrinking Ray, Duplicate, Monster Girl, and there's a pause, and then Rex. So like,
just go.
But there's very subtle background music, just like typical background music, and it just stops abruptly, and he just starts laughing. It was
the
done
cuts
so
out.
hilariously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he just starts laughing.
I mean, we can talk
every time I watch that, I laugh out loud. Literally every time. It doesn't get old.
We could talk about the dialogue
and then him saying,
just say
like,
it verbatim.
Yes, just everything about this interaction.
Yeah.
Him saying, isn't there an age requirement? Who is this? And then it cuts to everyone, and they're all like,
yeah, just like staring at him.
And Monster Girl says,
like,
Amanda says, isn't there a dick size requirement? Like, so
and
quick.
he's like, oh, I'm sorry. For what? Your little dick?
For something.
Do you know what's awesome is that I was rewatching this at work, and I had it just on speaker on my phone, and there were people, my coworkers, that had never seen this, don't even know what it is, and they heard, isn't there a dick size requirement? And he was like, what? And then they started listening to this interaction, not knowing what the fuck it was, and laughing hysterically. Yeah. Like, it was so fucking awesome.
And then, dude, Rex grabbing, shout out to the way he takes like coins. He has like the coin dispenser kind of thing.
Yeah.
He takes a coin. What does he say? I'm gonna teach you some motherfucking what the fuck. Like,
yeah.
It's so good.
So good.
It's so good. Dude, Jason Mantzoukas is like the whatever you call it, the one that surprised me and impressed me the most.
He was the one I was most nervous about. And
he killed it.
Perfect.
Crushed it.
He crushed it in episode 3. In episode 2, this is what I was talking about, is that he was over the top. Every line he said was
worked 75% of the time.
Oh, yeah, dude.
But it was very much like,
robot's got bad news.
Yes,
what's the bad news, robot?
But that was 100% of the time, TJ. This, he's actually having like, he's not at 100%. He's just got it toned down, but it's natural. It's
all
normal.
the jokes were, I didn't get to go to high school. Like, they were all very like shouty. These ones were very like just him being him. And dude.
Guys, the best way I can describe it is, Ryan, to your point, it's like I didn't get to go to high school. Pause, laugh track, continue. This is very much like, it's just like if you and I were fucking talking, and
so she transforms her.
She fights
just
him.
half of him, knocks him through. Oh, I guess you missed my tryouts. It's like the way that was all handled and like was so well done. And
the coolest part,
yes,
Rex charging up that wand. And you seeing his fucking skeletons, like his
boomstick.
Bones.
We coined it.
His boomstick. Sorry, yeah. Like glowing and charging, which is awesome, because you didn't see that in the comic at all until certain parts. But
I thought you were going to reference something else, because he gets punched against the wall, spits out his teeth, charges up his teeth,
and
then throws his teeth.
Yeah,
and he goes, "I'm going to wipe that smile off your ugly face."
Green face.
Like, yeah.
Mark, Eve, and Robot up there. Mark's like, should we stop this?
So Mark does. Mm-hmm. Mark stops the fight. And so then it goes right back. So we get this like 2-minute fucking awesome scene. And then it goes right back to the same shot of them lined up. And then Rex continuing to say who the Guardians are.
Can we back it up for a second?
Yeah, definitely back it up. You missed so first of all,
he just punched that girl.
Yeah, Mark like hit the girl, and then they're like, he just punched that girl, like
he just punched that little girl.
And then she just straight up was like, no, she's like, that was my bad. She's like, I'm sorry. And I love this line. She goes, and I'm sorry about the dick joke. I'm sure your junk is awesome.
But like they say that he punched a girl, and Mark goes, oh shit! Like another great quiet moment that's really funny. Yeah. And then she goes up and she's like, yeah, sorry, you know that kind of ticks me off, you know. And then I see
when people call me a kid,
and I go, yeah. Like she does this. Oh, dude.
Yeah. So they go back to the scene and they finish. Rexplode is on the team with Adam Eve. And Eve doesn't want to be on the team. With Duplicate. Doesn't want to be on the team. What, Ryan? Is it just more that
there's another thing. There's another thing.
I'm gonna shit blood.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck! I wrote that down.
You barely hear it though. It's so subtle in the background. He's like, and Monster Girl, and he goes, I'm gonna shit blood.
Yeah. But did you see how he wasn't like, I'm gonna shit blood?
Yes. And again, there's both good.
Are you
but
saying
this
you didn't like him in episode 2, Bill? I thought it was perfect.
I said
episode 2.
If you listen to episode recap and like what my initial reactions were, I talked about how he's very over the top.
Episode,
but it works.
Yes.
But after watching episode 3, this is where he needs to be.
Episode 2 is where you like him. Episode 3 is where you love him. And TJ, like, I'm giving it to him. I did not holy shit. Like, this is the best. episode 3 of
what I'm
Invincible
saying
is
is, like,
the best iteration of Rexplode we've ever gotten. I don't know why I just snapped.
We glitched. Are we still recording?
Yeah, we're still going. We're good.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I feel like that's what makes Rex is that he has those over the top moments and he has those subtle moments.
Yeah.
That's just kind of who he is.
Yeah.
And I like both.
Right.
Continuing on.
So, gets new members. Eve doesn't want to be a team. So then the next scene is, so Mark and Eve fly away, and this is where Eve tells Mark that that she walked in on them having sex or cheating on him, and how, Rexplode made mention of how they thought that she was like, they thought I was with you, you know what I mean? And he just kind of like grazes
Mark's
over
like,
it like it's no big deal.
That's crazy.
And that started with the fact that Eve said that she does not want to be a part of any team with Rex on it. So she's not on their team.
She's not on this team, yeah. So then the next scene that we get is the first meeting of the teen team in the teen team headquarters, and he, Robot makes
It's actually the new Guardians.
Well, yeah, the new Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, we're just meeting here until the Guardians, the forensics team is done in there, and then we'll be moving over there. So he starts to go over an itinerary, and they're not getting along at all. Black Samson
I love this scene.
Yeah.
I love him being like, Kate, where's Kate Prime? And she's like, oh, I'll fill her in. I liked that little interaction. I liked Shrinking Ray being like, aren't we supposed to be a team? Aren't we supposed to work together? The whole Rex thing. I mean, obviously him like saying that's bullshit and lighting the itinerary on fire or the schedule on fire. But him saying to Black Samson, he's like, he calls him dad, and then Black Samson gets in his face and he's like, threatens to beat him so bad that all he can do is call him daddy again or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's
the next
such
time
a great
he talks
line.
is he call him daddy. Yeah.
That Kari Payton killed it. I love that. He says that one line and it cuts to everybody else watching and they're all like, it's great.
Yep. So then, I mean, Rex is funny in this scene. He's like, what does this guy do? Didn't I already make fun of the fact that you have no powers? You have a suit that runs on batteries. He's like, let's just get Eve back in here.
Yeah.
The most notable part, though, is that so they talk about practicing 3 times a day or whatever it is. And Amanda's like, I can't do that. And she talks to Rex and says, why? So we get backstory as every time that she transforms, she gets younger. And she talks about how she's much, much older and how, her dating life sucks because she either dates people who are like pedophiles or, 13 years old. Yeah. There's no middle ground. And then
not to say that, she doesn't say this in the animated series, but from the comic, we know that at this point she's 28 years old.
Yeah.
She doesn't say how old she is?
She's in her 20s. I think she said she's...
I think she says, I might not look it, but I'm so-and-so years old.
I think
she says it in the animated series?
Yeah.
I think so. And Greg Griffin does incredible as her. Her and Shrinking Ray are the same voice actress. It's Azula from Avatar. And she's awesome. She does such a good job here.
Yeah, it is really good. But then she gets, again, a conversation with Robot where Robot's like, you know what, I understand, the world sees one side of you and doesn't get to see who you really are. And she's like, what are you talking about? How do you know that? You're just a fucking robot. And then it pans off and it leaves Robot standing there and you're like, what? There's a lot of seeds being planted here. And then it ends with Nolan glaring in on this whole thing. And he's like pathetic.
That was an interesting choice. I don't know if I fully understand that.
Having Nolan there?
Yeah.
He's just, his son was there. Was he though? No, because they flew off. Him and Eve flew off.
What was he doing there? Why was he watching them? Is
that one of the random scenes that you're like...
It wasn't what I was thinking of, but yes, it is. It does feel a little random.
I don't think that...
Obviously we know he has something against the Guardians, and he saw them as a threat or for whatever, reason. Is he scoping them out too?
I would assume so.
Just to be like, these are the heroes now. This is what we've got. That's
what I think it is.
Yeah. These are the protectors of Earth, other than me, really.
Right.
It just was weird that he was actually there, at the base. I don't know.
Right. Now we get another fucking awesome scene. William and Mark in Mark's room prepping for Amber's date. So he's like, this has got to go. This has got to go. These comic books are childish. And Mark makes mention that being a nerd is cool now, so maybe she'll be into it.
Dude.
And then he's like, will she be into the hand lotion and the tissues? And he just like bats him into the garbage can.
There's a line that like, he's like, he makes fun of him for the toy or something. And Mark says, yeah, isn't being a nerd cool now? You dick. Like the delivery on that was also really funny.
Yeah, like real life. You know what I mean? Like people, like teenagers talk like that.
I really like that line.
Yeah, and it didn't have to be like, it flowed really well. So then the doorbell rings. Amber comes in, and you see all this shit just being thrown out the window, which is an awesome visual gag. And the last thing to get thrown out, like a second after everything else, is the fucking garbage can. That's got
with the tissues.
Yeah, the tissues in it.
The tissues.
So Amber comes in and she's like looking around his room and like, oh, what's this? What are these comic books? And he's like, oh yeah. What I liked about the scene was that he was super honest. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, yeah, William thought that you'd be into that stuff, and thought that we should talk about that.
And he says, William thought that I should read this book to make it look like I was interested in you.
Right.
And then
interesting.
And he corrected himself. And then after he shows her the comic book, she's like, maybe I can read these. Can I borrow these to kind of show you that I'm interested?
So awesome. Great scene. And then his phone starts ringing, and another funny scene where he hangs up and then it dials again and he turns it off and his phone rings again. And then like Cecil, Amber is like, well, maybe I'll go to the bathroom if that's an important phone call. And then Cecil teleports in right away and is like, bro, if you want to be a fucking superhero, you answer your goddamn phone. Like, you don't have the luxury of not being a hero anymore. You can't do all these things.
I like how he was like getting nervous and he goes, it's okay, she hasn't flushed yet.
Yeah.
So he's like, so he says, yes, I agree. Don't you? Oh, and then Cecil says like, don't you want to be the hero? Get the girl. Mark's like, well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of sexist, but yeah.
Awesome again. So he talks about how Doc Seismic is attacking Mount Rushmore, and he's like,
Eve's already en route.
And he's like, oh, Eve's there. And then Mark is like, all right, I'll help. He's like, what state is Mount Rushmore in again?
He does it twice though. Doesn't he say like, all right, I'll go. Where is Mount Rushmore?
No, so when they're flying there, Cecil says where it is, and then Eve is like, I know where it is. I'm not.
Yeah, but I thought there was something in the room where he says, yeah, I'll go. Where am I going? Mount Rushmore. Oh, okay. Where is Mount Rushmore? Like there's that
what
beat.
States? Yeah, it was really good. So then Amber comes back in and he's like, I gotta help my dad's friend with this thing. I'll be right back. And it's an hour later. It takes 1 hour for him to do this, because Amber makes mention afterwards how she's been waiting for an hour. So anyways, they're flying. Him and Eve are flying to Mount Rushmore. Cecil's telling him about Doc Seismic. And this is great because even Cecil is like, we don't know what the fuck his motivations are. He's like, or why he is the way he is. Maybe every time that he uses these seismic gauntlets or gloves, it gives him a slight concussion and he's becoming more and more crazy. So they go and fight Doc Seismic. It's really cool. It's really funny too, because doesn't Mark like try to make a quip? And he's like, man, these just don't land ever.
We get Doc Seismic for a good amount of time before Mark and Eve show up, because he's like,
and he's talking about the presidents and how like they were slave owners and they were terrible people, and now follow me. I'm your new lord and worship me. And you're like, oh shit! Like,
and he says something like, "This is how you get ahead in life," or unless that's what Mark says. Either way, Doc Seismic does a bad quip. Mark
There's catches a lot of puns.
Yeah, catches it, and he's like, that's the puns are pretty bad. And then Mark does a pun, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, none of these work.
Yeah, none of these are landing. Yeah.
Which I thought was okay. I don't know if it worked too well for me. I feel like we've seen that a lot with Spider-Man and stuff, where it's like, bad puns. Sorry, they don't work.
But I mean, Mark kind of has that attitude sometimes. You know what I mean? And he's trying to figure out who he is as a superhero.
I like it more as Mark figuring it out, but not Doc Seismic figuring it out.
It's in the comics too.
Yeah.
He was like he said, don't do whatever because I'm invincible.
Oh no, I totally get it. Like I said,
and he's also tried different catchphrases that didn't work for him in the comics. Like, he does.
I said, I think Mark working them out works for me, but Mark talking to Doc Seismic and Adam Eve about how they work or don't work, it was a little too far, reaching for me, I guess.
Too on the nose.
Too on the nose, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Where it's just him talking about it. I don't know.
Right.
Again, it was fine. I liked it still.
Yeah. So we get a cool fight.
There was something else though. I was gonna mention that this is like the most anime the show has looked. This fight scene with Doc Seismic hitting the gloves, the rocks bursting around him, the way he's like, his maneuvers and the way he fights and everything.
His gloves, or as Mark calls them, bracelets, because they don't have
you're
fingers.
Wearing bracelet. Like,
So the sound that they make is awesome. The sound like when a rock is being thrown at him and he goes like that and it like bursts and crumbles. The sound editing is awesome.
Yeah.
A cool thing that changed from the comics or that they evolved is that he can fly, kind of like he uses his bracelets to create seismic waves and hovers. You know what I mean? And he like flies and stuff. Mm-hmm. So there's a family. They save him. At the end of this fight, is Doc Seismic dead?
Because he dives into the lava, and I like this too. And like Mark tries to save him, and he like pushes him away from him with his gloves, and like he didn't want to be saved.
And he gets surrounded by like all the falling rocks and stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
so
it looks like toasted. right before he would hit the lava, he does the burst and it makes a bubble, and then the like scene cuts away, and it's like
it doesn't show it. He's not dead. I don't think he's dead.
No.
Yeah, they think he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We shall see. We know what happens, but you don't, potentially.
They save a family. Mark spins through the ground.
Yeah. All that happens before that happens.
Again, so I like this scene in a bubble. I feel like it felt a little random here. I don't know why, because I like Doc Seismic. I like everything that happened in it, but maybe because of like we've got the Amber stuff, the tryout stuff, all that was super tight, and then this happened. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, all right, now let's go back to this. And it's like, I don't know.
I don't think so at all. I felt like it's the normal life of a superhero. It's just an everyday thing, and it's that Superman thing where he's got to make an excuse to get away, and then he's back home. Like I think that's what it's showing.
And not only that, but it showed Mark and Eve building a relationship with each other. And
it also sets up this next scene, which we'll get to, but basically where it goes into the fact of, like Cecil was saying before, you're a hero. You got to give up your personal life. And I think it was more about him giving up Amber and leaving Amber than it was about the Doc Seismic fight.
Right. Now, if we could, Mark rushes home. He runs in the door, runs up the stairs, and Nolan is like, hey, Mark, what's going on? Mm-hmm. And then Mark is like,
before you say it.
Yeah, I had to do this, I had to do that, but Amber's up in my room, and he's like, oh, so you went off and ditch your girlfriend to go save the world, huh?
So I do think that episode 2 was by far the funniest of the 3. But I will say that this moment was the funniest thing moment? in all 3 episodes.
The more we're talking, the more episode 3. Again, maybe they're just different humors or different kinds of humor, and I love that you like the humor in 2 more than 3 because that just goes to show how fucking great the show is. But holy shit, episode 3 is so funny. Just sitting here talking about it, I want to watch it again just for the humor.
Yeah.
TJ, he's doing the thing.
He's doing the thing. So
I'm a silly goose.
Mark is standing on the stairs listening to Nolan lecture him, and he's like, nodding his head, and then
it's subtle.
And then it goes to just Mark or just Nolan talking, and you don't see Mark, but you hear Mark going, okay. Oh my God, so funny. And we
the first time we watched it, we're laughing so hard.
We talked to Robert Kirkman about that scene, and we were like, that was fucking genius. Like, that was so funny. And he talked about how one of the other editors or writers came up with it. That wasn't written.
Yeah. It was just done in editing. Yeah,
it was done in editing after the fact, and just so fucking perfect. So funny.
So good.
Yeah,
but obviously having that conversation about, when to be a hero, and you got to balance your personal life and your hero life and everything like that. All very important stuff.
Because he's just trying to get to his room to see Amber, and he's like, it's good that you're doing this. It's good that you're, prioritizing being a hero over, because there's going to be some choices, and then he goes on and on and on, and it's all good stuff. But at the same time, along with the content that is needed, you get that funny, moment in the background too, which is just perfect. And he also like left his costume on and almost walked into the room with.
It's great. It's great because what Nolan is saying is very important and means a lot and has a lot of like heart to it. But it's exactly what a teenager would do. They'd be like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they don't care. All they want to do is make out with the girl that's in the room. They don't fucking care about being a hero.
His
good.
face though, his face just like, like, oh, it was perfect.
And the way that he nods his head at the end, he's like, okay. It's so fucking good. It's so good. He rushes back in. Amber's reading a Seance Dog issue. And he's like, oh, it's a good issue. And then she's pissed. She's like, you left me here for an hour. She's like, I thought, why did I even come here? Go ahead, Ryan.
Before Mark left, he did talk about the underwater welder that sees ghosts on the bottom of the ocean. And here's Seance Dog. It's a Jack Russell Terrier who is a master of the metaphysical arts. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting. And she asks to borrow it. So it's, more Seance Dog. It was just cool. But yeah, so she was sitting there reading it when he came in.
Yep. And then we get the scene ends.
And she says that she finished all the trivia questions, the study questions, and she's like, so what do you want to do now? And I think it ends with that.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
And then we get to see the big squid Cthulhu monster that Nolan was fighting. And
Kaiju.
Donald's like, I don't think this thing is dead yet. And then Cecil interestingly says, put it on ice. You never know when something like that might come in handy.
And he says, I've never seen Omni-Man on the ropes like that.
Yeah.
So Omni-Man had a difficult time with him.
And now Cecil might have something that gives him a hard time.
Right, exactly. So the next thing that we get before we're pretty much done with the episode is a pretty cool scene with Robot again. With Rex, Splode. So Eve flies into the teen team thing, and she's like looking at pictures, taking pictures down because she's quitting, and she hears fireworks going.
So why we don't know she's quitting, right? Or is she just cleaning?
Well,
I think she's just taking down photos of Rex.
It looked like she was just taking all of her photos down, like cleaning out her locker.
I took it the same way. Like she said she wasn't going to be a part of the team anymore.
Yeah.
Really?
Like
I don't know if that was clear then, because I didn't take it as that.
I took it that way. This is 2 out of 3, Ryan. So I think we're probably right here. So she hears fireworks.
You're right, because she wasn't part of the team meeting either.
Right.
And she did say that she didn't want any to be part of the team. Okay. Okay then. Cool. Good. I love that.
Excellent. Goes up to the top of the bridge to find out where these fireworks are coming from with a big smile on her face because presumably she likes fireworks.
This song is it's called "Let It Go" by Birdie and Rhodes, and this is the moment that I was talking about in the beginning. Like the music matched perfectly. It made it very sentimental and like, oh shit, like Rex is like crying.
I like that she thought she heard explosions or gunshots or something. She flies up there and that's why she's surprised. It's because it's fireworks, and that's cool. That's much better than explosions.
Yeah, and it's Rex flipping coins up, and them exploding into fireworks, and he has like a real somber moment with her, and he says, he made a mistake. That I think he said something along the lines of like, he's sorry he can't help the way that he is, but he does still love Eve, and can he get another chance? And Eve is like, no. He's like, and she's like, all you'll ever do is just ask for forgiveness. Something like that, I think, is what she said.
Yeah.
Which was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, did you guys like that scene with?
I love that. That's one of my favorite scenes of the episode for sure.
I love this scene, but part of me has a problem. And this is what I was talking about earlier. I wanted more because you go back and you watch episode 2, and then Rex is cheating on her. So help me like this more, because then Rex is cheating on her, and he's like, and this scene is so good. Like, it's super emotional with Eve. You see that they had this relationship. He loves her. She's clearly upset about this. We never saw that. We never saw any, like, why did he cheat on her? Because he thought that her and Invincible, why did he think that her and Invincible were, because they go to the same school? Is that the reason why he cheated on Eve? Because they showed up together?
He was looking, he's a narcissist. He's an egocentric maniac. He is selfish, and he he's always like not looking for the next best thing, but he's always just trying to like satisfy his desires, and that's the way that Rex is.
But are you getting that because the show showed you that?
No, Ryan, I think the reason why I think it's perfect the way they did it, because they keep alluding to like is he a nice guy? Like, he's not. He's such an asshole.
Yeah.
But they showed us a little spark, not pun, unintended, of like a little something there, like where maybe he does care for Eve. Like, but is there more to this?
What are you referring to?
What he was trying to do, trying to apologize. You know what I mean?
So you didn't see it until after is what I'm saying. I wish I had seen that they were in a good relationship, other than them kissing for 2 seconds and then him making fun of them going to the same school. I wanted him to be like truly like, holy shit. They're actually together? Like, is she really with Mark Grayson or with Invincible?
You don't see it from Rex, because I don't think you're supposed to see it from Rex yet. But when in this episode, when they first break up and they leave the tryouts and they're flying and she's flying with Invincible. Invincible goes, I never wanted to say this, but he's now that you guys are broken up, he's such an asshole. And she goes, yeah, but he wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that, little pieces. I don't want to know that he's a good guy until I know his backstory.
I feel like the betrayal of him cheating on her felt like, oh, they weren't in a serious relationship. They were just kind of dating. But then you get this scene, it's so good and emotional. It's like, wow, they really love each other.
They're teenagers, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
but at the same time, she didn't take him back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the other thing too. Rex is feeling loss for maybe one of the first times, like this kind of loss, you know what I mean? Where he realizes what he had and he understands that he fucked up.
Yeah.
And now he wants it back. You know what I mean? That's the way that I saw it, is like he only wants it because he can't have it. You know what I mean? So he's trying to put on this big show for Eve, thinking that she'll take him back, even saying like, I'm an asshole, I'm sorry. And she's like, yeah, you are. And you always will be.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, like, again, I really do like the scene. I think all I wanted was one more thing that showed me that he either really thought that something was going on between her and Invincible, or he was like his reason for cheating. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because this scene showed me that they had such a deep relationship, and I just didn't feel it before this scene. And this scene made me want that relationship. This scene made me want the Invincible and Rex and Adam Eve backstory, because, you know, the comic that we got, because I like their relationship. But leading up to this scene, I feel like I didn't really see it. All I saw was a guy that cracked jokes and kissed her once and then cheated on her. And I didn't feel like this scene. I loved this scene. I just wanted more, I guess. I don't know.
I get what you're saying, and yeah.
Otherwise, the music, TJ, holy shit! Like, the music, it's such a good scene. I love it.
Oh, you're talking a lot about how you like this episode, Ryan. Interesting.
I know. That's why I said it.
So
I don't know.
We get the last scene of the show minus the post-credit scene, and it is fantastic, awesome. Muller twins in jail, talking about it's chicken pot pie night, and they break out with the help of someone in a control room, and it's pretty cool. Like they're fighting, their normal banter, they're getting shot at, and when they finally escape, a ladder comes down, they escape, they run out, and one of the Muller twins uses the other one as a shield and just lets him get obliterated by the lasers, and he's like, no worries, I'll make another copy, not to worry. And then you find out at the end of the scene, Cecil walks into a room and it's Robot watching the monitor. So Robot helped the Muller twins escape.
What?
I love the action in the Muller twins fight scene, like the ripping the panel off the wall. You know, the guard with the hand on the scanner.
Yeah, hitting it in different ways, and like him trying to get it to work.
And this one was Run the Jewels, Chase Me. And again, a song directly from Baby Driver, which is pretty cool.
Perfect.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
This is kind of what we were talking about. Like, I mean, there's tons of other stuff too, other examples of this. But when we talked in our, what do you call them? Like our comments that we made regarding, you know, our review of the first 3 episodes. This is a perfect example of that, where they give us more than what we see in the comic. We knew this happened in the comic, but we didn't actually see it because the bigger things of what's going on weren't revealed until later, and it was revealed as like one big thing. Yeah. Then, in this sense, they decided to reveal it earlier in the story and give us this extra scene and actually show us Robot breaking them out. We actually see it. It was awesome, so good.
Yep. Very good scene. Credits roll, and then we get the after credit scene, which is now going to be a pretty typical thing. Which
what
is
the
Debbie.
After credit scene?
Yeah, the after credit scene. Debbie's sitting at home. Damien Darkblood shows up and is asking her about Nolan and is saying, did he really not tell you anything to like, you know, soothe your mind and put you at ease? And she's like, he didn't tell me anything. No, he didn't see anything. He doesn't know anything. And that's all I know. And then Nolan shows up. Oh, he says, if you remember anything, if he says anything, call me, you know. Nolan shows up and he's like, hey, I thought I heard voices. And I didn't think anything of it the first time I watched it, but after watching it again, I mean, if my wife was talking to a demon in the kitchen and I was like, hey, what's that noise? And she was like, dude, fucking Damien Darkblood just came in here and was asking me questions, but she didn't say anything. Like, so she kept it to herself.
There's one thing we didn't talk about or really dig into as much that happened earlier in this episode, but in the previous episodes, Nolan is acting weird, right? In the beginning of this episode, one thing we didn't talk about was right after the funeral.
That scene, yeah.
They had a conversation about how, like, she's like, this could have been you. And he goes, I'm not that easy to kill. Like, very, like...
Say that to Olga. Well, Red Rush could run fast. That's not really a top-tier superpower.
Yeah, exactly, a premier superpower. And she's like, holy shit, dude. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you saying that? Like, your friends just died.
Yeah.
Coworkers.
And then he corrects her.
Well, she says friends.
Wow.
And then he's like, coworkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, Debbie's got to know that all of a sudden, and it is all of a sudden, he's acting weird. He didn't act like this before because in, I think it was episode 1, he snapped on her and she's like, what has gotten into you?
Yeah.
So he's all of a sudden acting strange, and she sees that. So I think when Damien came to her, she's going to back up her husband, and she's like, you know, being defensive. But at the same time, she's a little suspicious, so she's not going to say shit. It's the same thing with Cecil. Cecil is just – no, that's another thing that happened earlier in this episode is that it shows a quick shot of the surveillance team like listening in the van outside their house. Like Cecil is suspicious. Debbie is now suspicious. So
I don't know if I like Debbie being suspicious. I don't know. This is one of those things that it's an area that we just don't know yet. I don't know how it's gonna play out. It might end up being awesome.
I like Cecil being suspicious, but I kind of agree with you on Debbie because
we need the shock.
Debbie thing, we need it to hit hard.
Completely unexpected.
Think about this though, because it's dual layered. So you have Debbie now being suspicious of Nolan. Right. And because obviously she talked to Damien Darkblood, she didn't say that he was there. Very suspicious. Then she goes away and Nolan breathes out cold and goes and squints. And he knows that Damien Darkblood was there. So you have Debbie being
suspects it, maybe.
Absolutely. 100%. Why else would he be breathing cold air? Why would he? So you have Debbie that's suspicious of Nolan. And now Nolan being like, why did she just lie to me? You know what I mean? So
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that cut and dry, though. I don't believe that he's like, I know Damien Darkblood is here. My wife is has a conspiracy against me. It's not that cut and dry. I think suspicious of it.
He's suspicious of that and of her. Like it's gonna make it.
Yeah. Oh, this is weird, man. This is something so outside of what we got before in the comic.
Right.
So I mean, we're kind of tiptoeing around it. We're at the end of the episode. Good job, Bill.
Yeah.
All your notes came in handy. Good thing you wrote them down. I'll get you a new quill for next time. What are some predictions?
We finally get to predict something.
Yeah, this is the first time
curious as to. So we talked about literally what we just talked about, like this dynamic with Nolan, like being very, like changing and like being kind of like dual personalities. Like he can flip on a dime. Are they going to keep this going?
Exactly.
The way to episode 8?
No.
There has to be some kind of shift.
7 at the latest.
There had
So-
to be
The
some
end
kind
of 7.
So let's warn of spoilers right now because
Again,
I mean,
we're going to be
talk
talking about what happens in issue
Right.
11 and 12.
Right.
Yeah.
So in issue 4 or episode 4, we're going to get a lot of Amber and Mark. We're going to get them in high school dating. We're going to get Eve getting kind of jealous of that. We're probably going to see the Lizard League. I think we're going to because we need some sort of.
League?
All right. So here's my
We got
my prediction.
Mars. We got Mars. We know there's Mars coming
isn't
up.
yet. Not yet. Mark needs to be more established as a hero. That's going to happen. Okay. So we got Amber and Mark dating, Eve getting jealous, the Lizard League and the new Guardians kind of acting like, trying to come together as a team. And I think this episode is going to end with Rex getting pricked by a robot, and we're going to find out who Rudy is.
No,
That's my prediction.
I don't think
really
we're going to find
soon.
Rudy till the end. I think they're going to draw that a little bit longer. There might be
do
a
too.
prick, and then there's going to be a Mueller showing up and seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's going to be Mueller's working on it.
Can I
And
tell
then
you?
it's
Can
going
I
to
tell
end
you?
with,
I'm going to tell you why
which might be after issue 20. So we're going to dance around that.
they need to push out the robot thing, is because again, that one line that happened before the Guardians died, War Woman said, someone must be controlling him. Now, somebody who hasn't read the comic, I would be thinking, oh shit, it's Robot. Robot is controlling
That's great, dude.
mind warping
That's great.
Omni-Man. Why is Robot doing this?
But they would have to give you enough ammunition to think that. So I think
That's all I need.
him pricking and like collecting
And
DNA
analyzing
from
people's DNA. Dude.
analyzing people's DNA. I think that it could really like flip it. You know what I mean, and make you think that he could be doing that. That's a good point, TJ.
I like that.
What do
I
you
like
think?
that.
Predictions?
I still think that we're going to get the fight like 7 and 8,
I
kind
don't.
of
Same,
range.
100%.
I think it'd be cool if it happened sooner, but we've got D.A. Sinclair. That's not going to happen after the fight. We've got Mars. That's not going to happen after the fight.
Battle
I mean,
Beast.
all the Amber stuff.
do.
We know the Battle Beast and Titan are coming back. Like
That could happen in
that
5.
stuff is not happening after the fight. This is going to destroy Mark, and he's going to be out for a while. A good thing to happen in between seasons.
What I want is for it to like
The pace that this is going, man.
Everything to be normal, and then at like halfway through 6 or like toward the end of 6, like shit happens, and that's when it is. Like, because we don't expect that, because we're expecting 7 and 8. You know what I mean? I think it's fine if it's 7 and 8. I think that's fine, but I do kind of hope it's a little sooner, just because
I know I agree with you,
impatient.
TJ, but I'm expecting the end of 7, beginning of 8.
Definitely.
But
So if the
100%.
fight happens in 6, right, and it could be a longer fight, and the aftermath happens in 7, what do we get?
in 8,
after the
exactly.
fight.
That's why it has to be end of 7, beginning of 8.
Because it's a season finale. It
He's
has
going
to
to
end.
be Mark is going to be laid out, and unless they do a like 5 months later, like it's
They
not.
could.
Episode 8 is going to be the majority of it is going to be the conversation and the fight.
What's next?
And the rest of it is going to be all of the other characters reacting to
I
Mark
think we'll
being
get
injured.
yes. I think we'll get the end
And,
of that.
and Debbie crying.
We'll get the end of that robot storyline. We'll
the
get
end of the
Alan,
robot.
Alan
We're gonna
coming
get
back.
the world just found out about the biggest superhero
Yeah.
in the world.
It's going to be huge. It's a no-brainer of a finale to me. Like
Yeah,
the pace that
100%.
they're taking this show. Yes, we're concerned about are you going to keep like making him act weird for this long? Like that's the only thing that we're unsure about. But if Mark's on another planet for an entire episode, you don't even have to see it. I don't know. I think we'll be fine. I'm excited.
Guys,
Holy shit.
really,
shit.
I really want a Rexplode and Adam Eve but it's coming. But I think it's going to be up season 2. But I want it now.
Flashback.
Do you guys ever think about the fact that we could get something totally fucking crazy and insanely different? Like no one tells Mark about this, and then Mark like sits on it for a little bit. Like what if they don't fight right after the conversation? What if he tells Mark this, and then
You
Mark's
saying
like,
that is this to me is the same as, and I don't mean this as a jab at all, TJ, is the same as TJ saying that he's not going to kill the Guardians all at the same time. Like, yeah, it'd be cool, and I could see it, but it's not going to.
But I'm saying, but that's how they could like That's how they could elongate this.
Yeah.
What if they killed Shane at the end of season 2?
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying.
That's gonna happen though, because I feel like that wasn't great. That they extended it out that fucking much.
I thought Shane. Well, we won't get into The Walking Dead, but I think that it could have worked better if it was written better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to get into Walking Dead.
No. I agree.
So there we go. That's
I can't fucking wait, man. What's cool is we don't have a trailer for episode 4. We just have trailers that have bits and pieces, so we can go into next episode. Could be Mars. Could be D.A. Sinclair. Could be the fight. We don't know. And that's really, really exciting.
Yeah.
We finally recorded all 3 of these episodes.
Yep.
And now that this is out and you people are listening to it, like the fact that we get to talk about it with people now, like,
dude,
I can't wait.
We could be talking about scenes
people.
when people are listening to this. So on Friday or Saturday or whatever, we could talk about specific scenes with people about how funny this was or how awesome this was or the action in this scene or, oh my God.
Yeah.
Nolan
Exciting stuff.
Nolan in the Flaxon Dimension, the tryouts, like those 2 scenes just, they're so good. All right. We're going to wrap up, but we're going to record our outro later. So we're going to end this right here. All right. We're back. So you made it through.
God bless you if you're still with us.
God bless you. we forgot to talk about our favorite scene in episode 3, which is funny because we joked about at the end of episode 2 how we probably all have the same favorite scene in episode 3. I mean, that's true, right?
Yeah, I would assume so. Ryan, you would go first since we started with your recap.
It's the tryout scene. It's absolutely tryout scene. Bill,
mine.
Bill, what is yours?
That's super close. That scene. That's okay. That's the best scene.
Yes.
But the best moment.
Okay.
Is when I can't spoil it because Liz is over there.
Okay.
Is the stairs. When he's on the stairs.
Oh, yeah.
It.
Oh, okay. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just as funny as some of the funny stuff in the tryouts.
No.
But dude, they just heard us talk.
And gentlemen.
They just heard us talk about that scene for probably 20 minutes, but it really is. It really is So yes, we don't need to talk about it much more. You just heard us talk about it. TJ, you and I say that whole scene, which is pretty long. So that's
yes.
Yeah. But yeah, Bill, the stair moment is hilarious. So, guys, thank you so much for coming along this ride with us. It's been a long journey. If you want to email us, please email us your thoughts. We're going to talk about what you thought about episode 1, 2, and 3 at the top of episode 4 next week. And then send us your thoughts on episode 4 after you watch it. You can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can find our website, theinvinciblepodcast.com, for all of our, videos, episode guides, reading guides, all that kind of stuff is over there. Our outro music, as always, is done by the great Wyatt Layne. This one's called Please Stand By. An Invincible fan and an all-around great guy. So go check out his music on iTunes, Spotify, Soundcloud, all that good stuff. Oh, we did it, guys. Holy crap.
Thank you again to Big Clutch for the awesome Invincible foils. I can't stop looking at them.
I know.
Yeah, and you just touch them. I just have to hold on to it just on my lap.
It's ridiculous too because TJ, both you and I weren't able to score the red foil when we tried, a month or 2 ago when they went for sale because they sell out so fast. This is just the best. Feel like there's so much more to talk about because we're here. We just did so much.
Back that way.
Yep. So I'm going to go back to watching Invincible. Everybody, thanks again for watching. We'll see you around. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Until next time.
Goodbye.
we're gonna go into the Flaxen dimension right now, and we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Why'd you put right back in quotations?
Because we'll be right back for them, but for us, it's not right back.
You're going to have to start next episode with a beard. Go get a fake beard. All three of us will go get fake beards.
Dude, that's such a good idea. Oh my God. That's a fucking awesome idea. I'll go to the costume store and I'll buy fake beards for everybody. That's such an awesome
All right,
idea,
we're back.
Ryan.
I need to take a shower.
We're right back. Dude, that's so good. Oh, that's so good.